traditions. Time passes by, sure, but the moments last forever.
Behind the bag. It gets through Buckner. It's gone.
In our hearts
The team of the 90s has its world championship.
and in our minds.
Start spreading the news. New York, New York.
What a day, what a day. Good things coming my way. What a day, what a day. Hey, whoa.
For me, the dawn of each day is about getting ready for baseball. The gleam of the morning sun brings the anticipation of another great game. Now, with an early first pitch, you won't wait long. It's Sunday, and what a day for baseball.
Last we saw you for baseball on NBC, folks around these parts were talking about 1918 as their last brilliant season. But since then, 4 banners have gone up at Fenway Park for the Boston Red Sox. And on the other side for the Chicago White Sox. 5 years after that final game here on NBC, they put up a championship of their own in 2005 against the Houston Astros. And we are overjoyed to bring you Major League Baseball here on NBC. It is going to be a marvelous experience every week. Jason Benetti along with you, and I will be joined every week by analysts who know the team inside and out. Today, former Cy Young winner Steve Stone, who follows the White Sox day in and day out, and Kevin Youkilis, 2-time World Series champion. And Uke, we're going to start with you first. This Red Sox team did not expect to be in last place.
Yeah, it's been a tough start to the season, but they got 3 leaders that Alex Cora has pinned as their guys in Devers, Bogarts, and JD Martinez. These guys they've been carrying the load. They need to keep carrying the load, but the key to this offense clicking is the other guys in this lineup. They got to attack the ball in the zone and stop chasing pitches out.
When you look at the splits from this lineup, those 3 guys have really shouldered the whole thing.
Yeah, they really have. And you look into the numbers, the average at 309 for those 3, the rest 188, OPS at 833, really good, and then 523. So got to get the rest of the team clicking to get this going.
All right, meantime for the White Sox, Stoney, this team lost for basically a week straight. Now they've won 5 in a row. It's been a very inconsistent offense.
They're at 500 right now, and the key for this team is to make sure the left-handers hit, because they have problems against right-handed slider pitchers. If the left-handers get the job done, they're going to be absolutely on fire. And you look at the numbers, there's a stark difference. When they face a left-hander, they hit him very well for average. They get on base more, and slugging percentage is way up there. So it's up to Grandal, it's up to Sheets, and Moncada's coming back tomorrow. It'll be up to him. 2 of them are switch hitters, one a straight lefty, and Gavin Sheets. If they get the job done, the Sox are going to be able to catch the Minnesota Twins.
We are just about ready for first pitch. So many of you watch so many moments with us on NBC. We are so glad to bring you breakfast in baseball next. Welcome to MLB Sunday Leadoff. Coverage provided by Uber Eats. The venerable Fenway Park on yet another blustery, chilly day this baseball season. But this wonderful ballpark is ready for baseball, and the White Sox are going for a sweep of this Boston side after a comeback victory yesterday in game number 2. And Tony La Russa, in his second stint as the manager of these Chicago White Sox, he is second in managerial wins all time to Connie Mack, who, like us today, used to wear a shirt and tie in the dugout. Here is your starting lineup for the White Sox, and it's a bit different than we normally see, Steve, for this Chicago team. Tim Anderson getting a regular day off, Leury Garcia at the top of the card.
Anderson has been so hot, it's up to Leuri, who stung the ball yesterday, to be able to set the table for Robert and Abreu. Looks to me like Jose is starting to swing it very well. The key, we told you at the beginning of the game, was Grandal from the left side. If he can produce some runs, and we have every indication he will, I think this team is going to score a whole lot more. It's a very similar problem to the Red Sox.
On the mound for Boston today was supposed to be Michael Wacha. Instead, it's 25-year-old Tanner Houck with Wacha going on the injured list.
Yeah, Tanner Houck has got some nasty stuff. We like to call him the right-handed Chris Sale. He's going to throw a lot of, sinker, four seams up in the zone, and that slider, it is deadly at times.
Gentlemen, every week on Saturday Night Live, there's a new host and an ensemble cast, and there's one host. I am going to be here every week, but it is my pleasure to share this first game with both of you. You're in your first year doing games just off the field. Stoney, you've been doing this for 40 years. It's the perfect melding of generations of baseball, and I am so excited for this season. So as we get going here, thank you all for joining us. Baseball is back on NBC, and the first pitch here on Mother's Day is strike one to Leury Garcia.
Well, the key is going to be to get to Houck early enough where he can't wipe you out with that slider, because that's the pitch that he'll lean on the most.
These two teams are 1 and 2 in Major League Baseball in swing percentage, so you would expect maybe some short at bats today.
Yeah, definitely. That's what the Red Sox are hoping for today with Tanner Houck on the mound and having a bullpen game. You want him to try to extend out as much as possible.
All right, so what's the deal with the Red Sox bullpen? We figure we might as well get right into it, right, Uke? I mean, that has been the issue, and now they're having to go bullpen day on a Sunday series finale.
Yeah, it's not easy. I mean, I think that's the hard part when you don't have a bona fide closer in that role. And there's been a lot of different things that have happened where the rotation has been changed and they've had to adapt. So hopefully somebody can come forward and step out of that bullpen into that role.
Saw it happen to him yesterday. That was a 1-0 Red Sox lead until the 9th. As there is strike three. Garcia goes down on that slider, and one down, and here is the defense behind Tanner Houck.
All right, in left field we got Alex Verdugo. In center we got Kike Hernandez. In right, Christian Arroyo. At third base, Rafael Devers. Xander Bogaerts at short. Trevor Story at second base. Bobby Dahlbeck at first. Tanner Houck on the bump, and Christian Vasquez doing the catching.
The left side of that infield is vastly improved over the last couple of years. Devers has only made one error. Bogaerts has a little more range, and they're catching just about everything.
We spent a lot of time with Alex Cora talking about Rafael Devers, and he is somebody that people said, hey, will he always be a third baseman? Will he stick there? He's played a very nice third.
He's done a really good job, and when you watch him, it's the footwork. He's moving his feet, and he's moving his feet towards first base on every throw, and that's really helped him being more accurate with his throws, which at times can be a problem. So he's been fun to watch all year.
Stoney, Luis Robert, I know you think of him as a possible future MVP candidate.
There's really nothing he can't do. He can go get him in center field. His speed shows up on defense as well as on offense. And with the left side of the infield, as deep as they are, any tapper, he beats it out.
There's a strike on a heater. He throws sinker slider, mostly Tanner Houck. Four-seamer mixes in as well.
If he leaves one of those sliders middle in because he's low three-quarters, Luis is going to hit it awfully hard.
To second base, Trevor Story over from the Rockies throws out Robert, and 2 gone in this first inning. I tell you what, there's no better sight for a first game than Fenway Park, though.
It's absolutely beautiful, and you can attest to being both a home player and a visitor in this same ballpark. Is there a big difference between the two?
Yeah, there is a difference, and we saw it in the Angels series that I was doing. That monster plays a key role in a lot of scoring opportunities, and you just got to know how to play it right. And then, of course, down the right field line, that ball can kick around. So you watch the visiting teams and the coaches, they make sure to try to address those issues right at the beginning of the series.
His former MVP, Jose Abreu, did they still like you when you came back?
They did. When I was with the White Sox, they actually cheered for me. It was pretty cool because I hit a home run off John Lester that helped win a game, and it was pretty wild to have the fans cheer for you on the opposition.
Yeah, what did your former teammates think about that?
Well, I don't think John Lester really cared for it too much, but you know, they understood the situation, and they were just happy that I was happy myself with the White Sox.
Steve, did you hear him? He said John Lester was a little salty. Are you surprised?
No, I'm shocked by that, actually.
1-1 for Jose Abreu, and this is a ground ball to Xander Bogaerts. And that is a 1-2-3 inning for Tanner Houck, and a bullpen day, a good start. Minimal pitches from Houck. Dallas Keuchel's out after this. Introduce you to the Boston Red Sox today for Alex Cora in his second stint as the manager. You talked about 3 of those guys in the lineup. What's it going to take for Trevor Story to get going for the Red Sox?
Yeah, a lot of it's just pitch selection. He's been getting pitched really, really tough lately, not getting calls his way in the strike zone. It's just calming down and just utilizing the center of the field with the fastball, and he's doing a good job of hooking that breaking ball to the left.
This is the lineup that's going to face left-hander Dallas Keuchel, Steve, who really does want to bounce back for the White Sox after a tough start to this year.
Here at Fenway Park, you have to establish that cutter inside. You have to keep right-handers off that ball middle away.
The ball away to start Kike Hernandez.
One thing Dallas cannot afford to do is fall behind hitters. The last couple of games combined, 10 walks in 9 innings. That's not going to get it done against the Red Sox.
Why do you think it is?
I think when you feel your stuff isn't quite as good as it was a couple of years ago, you have a tendency to nibble. You don't want to throw it in the zone. Self-defeating prophecy. The more you fall behind 2-0 and 3-1, the easier it is for any hitter to hit.
Hernandez takes a strike. Does that feel right to you, Uke, when somebody's nibbling? How'd you feel?
Yeah, you always like guys that are nibbling and missing early in the count, so you can get into those hitters' counts, and then you get really selective in what quadrant you want to hunt.
It's called ball 3. It was a close pitch. Ron Kulpa says 3-1.
Yesterday, Carlos Torres threw everything up in the strike zone was a strike. That one had barely a piece of the zone.
Dallas wanted it, and he gets that one off the outside corner on a sinker.
Yeah, maybe a little makeup there.
That never happens. Come on. Come on.
Hey, we always want, as hitters, we want every pitch. As pitchers, you want every pitch. This is how it works.
Clipped foul. 3-2 on Hernandez, who really has tormented left-handed pitching in his career.
Yeah, really. I mean, this guy is one of the streakier hitters, and when he is hot, he is super hot. We saw that in the playoffs last year. But good job right there fouling off that pitch that was called a strike the pitch before.
It's ball 4, and Hernandez takes a leadoff walk on a very windy day here at Fenway Park.
How much of a psychological situation is it for Story, who came over now as a $140 million player after spending his career in Colorado and trying to adjust to a new city, but trying to show them that he's worth that kind of money?
Yeah, there's a lot of pressure he's probably putting on himself, and it's only natural in this city. But you know, you really just got to cancel out the noise. Alex Cora does a really good job of saying cancel out all the noise, and there's a lot of it in this city all the time. And as players, you got to come together, pick up your teammates, and make sure to cancel it all out.
Okay, so that's fine to say, and I understand that that's what you have to, but how do you do that? It's constant here.
Well, the key I always say is have somebody else do your social media for you as a player, and just stay off it. Don't get on the radio, and don't read newspapers.
Right, but it's everywhere. How do you live without Instagram, you? Stoney, you couldn't live without Twitter, could you?
No, it's become a huge part of my life. But I will tell you something with Story that I believe. I think he's going to hit. I think when he settles down, and what has to happen for a pitcher, you have to trust your stuff. For a hitter, you have to trust your swing. If Trevor Story starts to trust his swing, he's going to be swinging the bat real well, because he always has. No reason to assume now that he won't do it here in Boston.
Well, you saw the good company he's in over the last couple of years. It's downstairs, 1-2.
And the big one is just staying within himself and staying within the strike zone. You know, and you're also that green monster too when you first come here. is inviting for a lot of right-handed hitters, and especially a guy that pulls the ball a lot. So you got to make sure that you're staying up the middle as much as possible and not worrying, because you can flick sliders off that monster, you can flick curveballs and changeups, but the fastball, you got to stay within yourself to the middle of the field.
Strike three, nicely planted on the inside corner, that sinker. And Steve, you've seen it when Dallas Keuchel uses that inside corner to right-handers, he's better.
You have to use it, certainly, and you got to use it in this ballpark. A lot of left-handers get intimidated by the green monster, and if you do that, you're not going to throw inside enough. So that time he painted the corner on the inside and he got his first strikeout.
I'm fascinated by the fact that you just said the green monster can get in guys' heads when they play here for the first time.
For sure, it's a big thing, and you see it out of the corner of your eye, and you're hitting. Every kid's dream is, you know, come be a major leaguer and hit a ball over the green monster. I mean, my 9-year-old told me that the other day. I showed it to him. He's like, I want to hit one over that. I was like, oh, I like the excitement, but that's just it's look how big it is, and it's shorter than usual, and guys just want to hit it over it.
I've talked to a number of players over the years, and I know, Stoney, you have too, as a visiting broadcaster, guys who are rookies. And Gavin Sheets actually is playing in his 3rd game in left field ever, and he's standing there in front of the green monster, and he absolutely looked back there and said, wow, this is something I've seen on TV for a long time.
And now you're having to play the caroms, which are pretty difficult to do.
Into center field. That's a base hit for Devers. Hernandez to second, and the Red Sox are in business here in the 1st.
This guy here, I mean, he's going to square up a lot of baseballs, but gets that pitch and just stays in the middle of the zone. And Raffy does a great job of staying through the ball, and really clean swing there, not trying to do too much.
First hit of the day, and now here is Xander Bogaerts, who Alex Cora just raves about in terms of consistency in what he brings, especially for a team that has struggled. They're 4-13 their last 17, but he's there every day.
He's one of the calmest and coolest cats out there. I mean, when you watch this guy, nothing phases him, and he is just like, he is the leader of the team in many different ways, because he's been around here for a long time and he's seen a lot of crazy things.
Dallas has got to be thinking double play. He has to be thinking throw a sinker down and get the ground ball.
It seems that he is, based on that pitch.
I mean, that's what he's thinking out on the mound, and he knows that he's got a red-hot hitter who's dropped into the 4 spot. That's an adjustment that Alex Cora has made to this batting order.
Now, if you haven't watched baseball since we last had it on NBC, for some reason you just haven't watched the game in 22 years. You might be looking for signs from a catcher, and Reese McGuire is not going to be dropping signs because they have a new device called PitchCom. There's a receiver in the headset, in the cap of the pitcher, and there are buttons that the catcher presses, and there's a robotic voice that delivers, say, fastball down or curveball away to each pitcher. I know they had similar technology when you were growing up, Steve. It was just that advanced.
Very much so. It was 2 cans tied together and you screamed at one another across the backyard.
Dallas Keuchel misses just a little bit low. It's 2 balls and 2 strikes. 2 on, 1 out, first inning for the Red Sox.
Well, if Dallas wants to go to that cutter here, and he hasn't thrown a lot of them yet, he's going to get that ground ball to the left side that he needs, and that one did miss down and out of the zone. The thought process was good. The execution was not.
2-2. That's fouled away. It's a sinker out over the plate.
I used to know the propensities of every umpire. I knew what strike zone he was going to call because we studied that. As a hitter, did you know what the umpire called, or did you go day to day and try to adjust?
Yeah, you definitely did your research. You knew from past history, but that was one of the coolest analytics we got here in Boston. Was at the end of my career here, I remember seeing this is the scouting report on an umpire, and I thought, and they have all this information now, so you got to go in with every bit of information to make yourself better at the plate.
Little cue shot rolling foul, and the White Sox are going to touch up on it. How often were they right? How often did you feel like you had an advantage because of it?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think it's more along the lines of, you're also going to know, hey, with 2 strikes, I got to go after this pitch. If he's going to throw me something away and they're calling it away, I got to get my eyesight to the outside part of the plate and not worry about the inside. So it is a big advantage in a lot of ways.
That's Ron Culpa behind the plate. Marty Foster at first, Chris Conroy at second, Carlos Torres is at third. And it was a high strike zone yesterday from Carlos Torres. They're going to have to adjust to what Culpa is doing today.
2-2 popped up first base side. Yasmani Grandal playing a rare first base for the White Sox. And 2 down. We showed you a wind gauge that Uke was talking about before the game. You may have seen it a couple of minutes ago. That's how you read the wind in this ballpark?
Correct, yeah. So like right now we got, I mean, it seems like it's about 15 to 20 miles per hour wind, but this gauge up here is what everyone on the field looks at. The problem is there's a flag in center field, there's a flag above us right here on the broadcast booth, and sometimes they're going in different directions. So that gauge is your point to know where the wind's blowing. Jackie Bradley I talked to about it, and that's what he uses still to this day.
It's been windy all year long, at least for the White Sox and some here in the Northeast as well. It's been tough on infielders and outfielders alike.
Yeah, it's not fun playing in this ballpark when it's windy and cold, but it helps though once it starts blowing out.
He says with a giant grin on his face.
Yeah, because that right center field and that 420 triangle out there, it is a poke.
Did you like pitching here, Steve?
I did, because I threw a lot of inside fastballs to protect my curveball away. If I threw fastballs away and curveballs away, all of a sudden the hitter is looking in one spot and you can't fool him with anything. So I had success in this ballpark, even though the Red Sox, in my incarnation, were a very good team. I mean, you're talking about Butch Hobson hitting 30 home runs and hitting 9th. He played third base. Burleson played shortstop. Jerry Remy, the legend here, played second. Yastrzemski was at first. You had Jim Rice. You had Fred Lynn. You had Dewey Evans in the outfield. Carlton Fisk behind the plate. I mean, you're talking about a lineup that literally could kill you if you didn't have your good stuff.
And that's been a part of the Red Sox for a long time, even since then. And when I was lucky to play here, we had a very deep lineup. And that's just what's going on right now, is the fact that the lineup is shrunk. With only 3 guys really doing a lot of damage. Verdugo's also done pretty well too. 3 homers, 13 RBIs. Average is a little down, and that will get up there, but just need a little bit more production. And that's the thing, is try not to press and do too much. You're not trying to get outside of who you are. You're just, every cliche in the book in baseball, day to day, pitch to pitch.
17 miles an hour at first pitch here, and gusting even harder as it's 3-1 on JD Martinez, and this is not the guy you want to be hanging around a 3-1 against if you're Dallas Keuchel.
No, because Martinez will use the whole field. And if he's just looking right and right center field, he's even tougher than normal.
(3-1) to right field on a line and right at Leori Garcia. So Dallas Keuchel sidesteps trouble in the first inning. No score on a Sunday at Fenway. And I just want you to listen to the theme song for a moment, because it's going to be in your head forever. First televised game in Major League history. 39 special moments. Kirk Gibson among others. The MLB game of the week. Hank Aaron was on our airwaves as well, and so many great announcers, Vin Scully and Tony Kubek and Joe Garagiola. Final broadcast, Bob Costas with the call in 2000, New York. No score here in the second inning, and it is so cool to have baseball back on NBC. I know all 3 of us grew up watching baseball, and we have different pieces of generations that we really hit the sweet spot with when we were 10, 11, 12 years old, but it's all with us, and so many moments were on NBC.
Well, being such a young person at the time, I loved when Ronald Reagan recreated baseball. The crack of the bat, everything was just terrific, long before television, as you know, but it's come a long way.
He sat in the studio. He actually did that. He sat in the studio with he's like a Foley artist.
A ticker tape, and recreated the games and the sounds of the games.
Did you learn how to do that? Would you like to do the bat crack here for the next swing and contact?
You know, just a couple of weeks ago I lost my cracker, so
okay, good.
That's can't do that any longer.
Steve Stone, Kevin Youkilis, Jason Benetti. Every week we will have 2 analysts, one from each team, to tell you about the ins and outs of the clubhouse and what's going on as Yasmani Grandal takes aim down the left field line, and this ball ends up foul for strike 2.
I think on a normal day that ball is getting down, but this wind is so heavy coming in basically center field into the White Sox dugout, which pushed that ball. It's like my bad golf swing. Like if I don't hit it straight on a windy day, everything's in the woods.
To be clear, is that every golf swing is the bad golf swing, or do you have a special bad one?
It's probably 1 out of every 3 that is really, really bad like that.
That's good in baseball.
Yeah, but the other 2 are. I'm used to the 90 degrees in golf.
Yeah.
It needs to be about, what, 15 degrees down the fairway?
That is tough. Up and out for Grandal. 1 and 2 from Tanner Houck. And again, short number of pitches in the first inning, just 11 pitches for Tanner Houck, and that's good for the Red Sox.
Yeah, really big. And, you're trying to get quick outs here to extend him out as far as possible. Then you're going to see guys like Cutter Crawford coming in.
1 and 2. And that is through the left side. A base hit for Yasmani Grandal, the first White Sox base runner. And he takes a wide turn around first and slows to a stop, probably wisely.
One of the things we promoted before we came to the game was Yaz. Grandal has got to be able to generate some pop from the left side. This is a team that has trouble with right-handed pitchers who throw a lot of good sliders. And Grandal, with Moncada coming back, Liuri occasionally chipping in, but Gavin Sheets also a big factor. If those guys start to produce, the Sox are going to be able to hit right-handed starters. Right now, it's been a mystery to them.
I'll tell you what, that's a good job of going the other way on a base hit. Then you get to pick it. When you get those hits out of the way and you're going the other way, getting those base hits, now you got a chance to go try to jump it and hit it out of the park.
Gavin Sheets is one of those guys, Steve, you were talking about. If he can bump the numbers up to where he was in his rookie year, that would help against right-handed pitching.
Well, right now he's getting under just about everything, hitting a lot of pop-ups. And, if your first move is up, you're probably going to pop the ball straight up, and that's what he's been doing recently.
You been there, Uke?
We've all been there as hitters, and I'll tell you, you got to go with the flow of all of it. You're in the mode of you're pulling the ball too much, you're popping it up, and like all the cliches that people are going to throw out there, it is a game of adjustments. And how you do it, you got to stay a little taller on the backside. So, when you start getting underneath balls and not driving it out of the yard, it's probably a prime example of why your back shoulder's dropping too much.
A little taller on the backside. What do you mean?
Yeah, so when I talk about tall on the backside, a lot of, you'll see guys hit their hips a lot. You'll see them like to stay back, but it's really that backside to stay tall on landing where your front shoulder's almost a little, it's a little bit lower, because then you get down into the swing with your backside. But if you're landing and you're parallel or a little bit dipped on your back shoulder, you're going to get around the ball more and hit lazy fly balls the opposite field.
Called strike 3 on a slider. Second strikeout for the Red Sox and Tanner Houck.
It's a backdoor breaking ball. Not well received by Vasquez, who's normally a very good catcher. I mean, that was in the zone the whole way. So how you miss those? Sometimes it's just lack of concentration on one pitch. But credit Ron Culpa. He didn't take the strike away because the ball was not caught. He called it because it was in the zone.
It looked like he tried to frame it a little bit on that one, and sometimes when you just take your eye off it, especially with a runner on first base, you're framing it with the idea of possibly throwing.
Jake Berger in his second major league season for the White Sox, and what a story Jake Berger is, with 2 Achilles injuries, one while he was rehabbing the first one. And he's told us, Steve, that he thought about quitting baseball for a while.
I think it was very emotional because you know how hard you work to come back from one ruptured Achilles tendon. Then you have it a second time, and you know what's ahead of you and how much hard work it is.
Xander Bogaerts, Trevor Story, and that is a double play. 6 and 4 and 3 of the Red Sox, and Houck have faced the minimum. Just take in the theme. It's back. Reed caught up with White Sox pitching coach Ethan Katz.
Control has been an issue for Dallas Keuchel to start this year. Leadoff walk, was able to get out of it in the first inning. What'd you see from him?
Yeah, I mean, I thought he made some really good pitches glove side. That's where he's going to have to leverage a little bit more. Seems like they're taking a lot of pitches on the outer half, so getting to the glove side is going to be important, especially for him to open up the strike zone and get control of counts.
What have you been working on specifically with him, maybe in between starts?
Just basically controlling himself, repeating his mechanics, letting his stuff work over the plate, and not getting into those counts. Getting strike one is really important.
If this game gets late, you have a lead. Liam Hendriks, 5 straight games, 5 straight saves, no hits. Is there any way he's coming out again?
We'll see. We'll see. Probably not, though.
If it's up to him, no, probably.
If it's up to him, he's pitching every day. If it's up to us, probably not.
Ethan, thank you.
All right, my pleasure.
Ahmed, thank you. We were standing in the White Sox clubhouse before the game, a couple hours before first pitch, and Tony La Russa came out of his office and motioned to Liam Hendriks to have him come over to talk to him. And Liam screamed across the clubhouse, "I hope this isn't the conversation I think it's going to be." Meaning, I can't pitch today. He's intense.
Well, there's no doubt that he wants the ball every day, and sometimes you have to protect the closer from himself. But remember, guys are going to rust away before they wear away, and he likes to work a lot.
Dallas Keuchel for the second inning, and there's a strike to Christian Vasquez, who catches for 2 days in a row now.
Yeah, one interesting thing you see about Keuchel is the way he holds the ball over his glove before he pitches every single time. Once you start noticing it, it's very different for a hitter, but I try to watch on the backside. He does it the same on each pitch. Right before he comes up, right there.
Wanded to shortstop. Danny Mendick has out number 1. So you're saying you're looking for a tell?
Yeah, a lot of times you're looking at pitchers to tip and do something on their off-speed pitches so you get a little feel of how to stay back. Yeah, you know, when you're trying to hunt fastballs all the time, there's nothing better when you can keep your weight back and to adjust to a breaking ball. So it's funny, I saw it one time on a pitch when I was watching the video, and then I go, oh wait, he does this every single time, and it'd probably be really hard to see it.
Well, the good thing for hitters in this day and age is if you have 50 at bats against a pitcher, you can look at all 50 of them sequentially, and if the pitcher's doing anything differently, you're going to pick it up right away, and that's why they look at video also to see what's happening, and so it becomes a situation where both guys have access to a lot of technology. The hitters are always looking for an edge, and pitchers are always trying to stop them from getting that edge.
Alex Verdugo takes a ball 1-1. We will talk to Alex Verdugo while he's out in the field, by the way, in the top of the 4th inning.
That can't be an easy thing to do. We're going to talk to him for the whole half of an inning, and he's going to have to both concentrate on the baseball and talk to us.
You're saying talking to us is a chore?
No, it's distracting.
What?
Lord knows that's what I found in 2 innings. So
thank you.
We'll see how he adjusts.
Are we allowed to move them in their positioning?
Please.
That's interesting.
Move to the line.
To the
Get
left.
the line,
To the
yeah.
left.
Did as that is through the left side, a base hit for Verdugo. Uke in the booth just put his hands in the air, palms up. Why did you do that?
2 to the left. Gotta go 2 to your left.
If you could have moved Jake Berger at third.
Well, that would have been going to the right. 2 to my left here is his right. So he definitely wouldn't have got to that ball if he went 2 to his left.
This has been one of the things about Dallas Keuchel that's been somewhat unusual, is that left-handers have better swings against him than right-handers. It's no coincidence that both of the base hits today have come from hitters swinging from the left side.
So why do you think that is?
I think because he's so adept at throwing sinkers and changeups away from righties that he gets very much grooved to a right-hand hitter, and a lot of managers will load their lineup with righties against him. But lefties, you had a different release point. You don't throw that sinker inside to lefties very often. You don't use that changeup lefty-lefty quite as much. It takes away a strong part of his arsenal.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those things too where you know the ball's coming into you a lot, so you're looking out over the plate, not hunting inner half, because the key is when a guy's throwing the sinker and moving into you, you cannot look in or you'll chase pitches in too far and swing at balls. So, you know, a guy like Doogie, though, Doogie, when he's going to left field and just trying to get his base hits, He is phenomenal at that. When he gets in trouble is when he's starting to try to drive the ball versus getting up there and trying to hit line drives all over the map.
Testing that outside corner again, 3-0. So Alex Verdugo at first, 1 out. Bobby Dahlbeck at 3-0. You letting him swing here? You?
Yeah, I mean, I think it just depends on the player. I always look at the player and how they do in that situation. Are they getting outside themselves or are they under control?
That's a take, 3-1.
But you're asking the wrong guy. I never swung a 1-3-0 in my whole career. So
once?
Not once.
Never?
Nope.
Why?
I don't know.
You don't. Wait. You never swung at one of them, and the answer is I don't know. You had to have had some sort of reason or system.
Well, it was a good system. Just don't swing.
Right. It's fouled away, 3-2.
Never got out.
So okay, so we got a pitcher here who hit before this universal DH. Did you swing at a 3-0 pitch?
Oh, I was geared up for a 3-0 pitch. I was geared up to pray for a walk, because when you hit an even 100, you know you're not terrorizing any pitchers. But if they wanted to walk me, that would be good.
3-2 on Bobby Dahlbeck. Verdugo at first. That's strike 3. Throw down to second base, and he is easily out. Verdugo caught stealing on a lack of contact from Dahlbeck. From his knees, Reese McGuire, we're scoreless.
Far, no runs to show for it. Does that kind of sum up the problems you've had offensively?
Kind of, right? We got 3-0 count, we got 3-2. We don't make contact. We had first and second one out. We didn't cash in, you know, and we just got to keep pushing. That's the bottom line, you know. We know we have a good offensive team, but we got to get better.
Tanner Houck getting the start on short notice. What have you seen from him so far?
Yeah, I mean, good sinker, good slider. That's what he does, right? He's going to be a reliever just because where we at in the rotation, but he's a guy that we see him as a potential starter later on in the season and obviously in the future.
Alex, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you to Alex Cora and to Ahmed down there. And, you know, it's an interesting deal for the Red Sox right now as Reese McGuire sends that through the right side. It's a leadoff single for the White Sox catcher. But it's an interesting deal for the Red Sox. They have Garrett Whitlock, who they transferred from the bullpen to the starting rotation. You have Waka on the injured list now, as you see McGuire send it through the right side. Where do you think this bullpen ends up, Hugh?
Yeah, I think that's the #1 question around Red Sox Nation right now is how is this going to work? You know, when you look at Tanner Houck and you see him right now and the way he throws the ball, he does have the bullpen type arm where he can be a 2-pitch, 3-pitch pitcher. And I think he would be really good out of the bullpen. But Garrett Whitlock, when you watch him start like he did the other day, he was dominant in that game. So I think Tanner's going to take on more of the relief role, and I think Garrett's going to be starting here from here on out.
The irony is that Whitlock was doing a nice job out of the bullpen. And then you go up to Toronto and one of your guys can't make it because he's not vaccinated. Now you move him in the rotation, which gives you a hole in the bullpen, which at this point they have yet to fill.
Yeah, it's a tough dynamic in a lot of ways of how it's been set up with that whole Toronto trip, and that kind of played into a lot of the issues within the bullpen and stuff. But, you know, everyone in that bullpen's got to do something. In this game especially now, bullpens are the key to everything because it's the 5 and dive.
That was definitely a hit and run, by the way, there.
Yeah, and I think yes, what you're seeing is Tony La Russa has some weapons at his disposal because there's speed on this team. So when you're not hitting home runs, and the White Sox are not hitting near as many home runs as they thought they would, Tony is using the running game a lot more now, whether it's straight steals or hit and runs. That's something Alex Cora doesn't have the luxury of doing. He doesn't have a lot of speed on this everyday 9 for the Red Sox.
Yeah, and this is the perfect guy, too, to hit and run with, and Josh Harrison. Bearcat.
Cincinnati Bearcat gets plunked by Tanner Houck, who was part of that as one of those players who couldn't go to Toronto. And now 2 on, nobody out for the White Sox, and the 9 spot Danny Mendick coming up.
Josh Harrison gets hit a lot, and that on the tricep doesn't feel particularly good. Last time he got hit right across his back, probably a little bit easier on him than this one. He's going to feel this one for a while.
Yeah, this is one of those that where like it literally, I mean, the nerves hit and it goes numb. Your hand goes numb in a lot of ways, and you just gotta keep squeezing. Hopefully the blood comes back, but not a fun spot. But that's a Bearcat. He's tough.
What does it feel like to get hit right on the muscle on a chilly day in here May?
It's definitely not fun. I think that's the hardest part is when you get hit in 90 degrees and it's hot outside, it loosens up a little bit, but in the cool weather, man, it can turn it can get tightened up on you real quick. So just got to figure out a way to get through it, and hopefully it doesn't tighten up on him.
I would think that Mendick would be bunting.
Let's see. Corners are in, and he is going to take a strike. You know, it's interesting. If Tim Anderson, who typically is one of the drivers of this offense, is at the top of the lineup, it might be a different situation, you think?
Quite possibly, because Tim is the guy that is going to drive in some runs for you. But he's just taking a day off. He's not hurt.
There's your bunt, third base side from Mendick, and Devers does pluck it, and that's a great pick on the back end by Bobby Dahlbeck to secure an out on a very nice bunt from Danny Mendick.
Yeah, interesting right here. If you look at the replay, I felt like this ball was going to go foul because it hit the lip of the grass and kicked a little bit. I thought Raffy was going to let it go, but hey, he wanted the for sure out at first base. So good play, but right here, you don't know if that ball's going to kick or not. You don't want to let it go and get bases loaded, so get the out.
Well, that's why you have to know your ballpark perfectly. That's why for the White Sox coming in, before the season starts, you have to roll the ball down the third baseline, the first baseline. They do it at our ballpark in Chicago, and everything spins back toward the field of play. So that one wouldn't have rolled foul if it went 100 miles. But here, I agree with you. I think the spin of the ball would have taken it foul.
Instead, it's second and third, one out for Garcia, who takes well outside, ball one.
Good job by Vasquez right there, getting to that pitch.
I think Alex Cora is very happy to get Houck into the third inning. He had planned maybe two if there was some problems. There wasn't any problems. He gave up a base hit in the first two, but it was erased on a double play. So this is just pitch number 30 on the way.
Wave and a miss at his 9th slider of the day. It's been predominantly 25 combined sinkers and sliders from Tanner Houck to this point. And there is the bullpen. Hirokazu Sawamura getting loose in the Red Sox pen. Fouled away by Garcia, 1-2. This Red Sox team is in a loaded American League East this year. I mean, there are prospectively, if you include the Red Sox who are in last right now, but people thought there were 4 very distinct possible playoff teams in this division.
Yes, I mean it's loaded in a lot of ways, and you know, unfortunately for the Red Sox, they haven't won one of those division series yet, and that's hard to do, right? And hopefully, you know, throughout the season now they have to bounce back and win those division series in order to get back in it.
The advantage for the White Sox, they're chasing Minnesota, a pretty good team, but they're not the New York Yankees. And for the Red Sox, they can't fall too far behind the Yankees.
1-2 winds inside. 2-2. It's a rare splitter. He's thrown 2 of them in the game. Only 8% of his arsenal normally from Tanner Houck.
Yeah, one of the positives you got to look at too when you're in the ruts, right? You have to get through these times. You go, the Yankees won 11 in a row, right? It can happen, and it can happen during the season, but you got to win that first game.
On the ground, third base side, Devers cannot scoop it, and the White Sox have taken a 1-0 lead here in the third.
I'm thinking E5 on that one. He tried to throw it before he caught it, and it turns into the first run of the ball game. Run would have scored anyway.
Yeah, it's just that in between right there where it's in the air. Right here, watch. Right when it goes right there in between. It's not it's the in between hop that he has to go get that thing.
So how ideally do you play that ball, you?
Well, there's two ways you can play it. You can sit, you know, you don't go through it. You wait back, and then you have to throw a dart over there, or you just got to, you know, you got to come through it a little bit more.
That was ruled a base hit, which is somewhat surprising to me, but one way or the other, it's still 1-0, and Garcia now is driven in 6.
Now a 5 for 9 in the series for Leury Garcia, who started slowly offensively and now has been a big part of the White Sox chance for a sweep in what has been a low-scoring series.
Well, he literally has always been this kind of hitter, in that he'll go for 10 days without hitting anything, and then all of a sudden one hit or two turns him around, and then it gets very hot for a week. And the White Sox are hoping this will be his week.
On the ground, back to the mound. Throw comes into second, and they do get the lead runner there. Garcia is out. I was a little surprised that he spun it to second base.
That was one heck of a play right here. He checks the runner at third real quick to get Josh Harrison going back, and throws an absolute seed to Trevor Story.
Well, this is just instinct on the part of the pitcher, because once you freeze the runner at third, you have some time. That was a short one hopper coming back to him. They couldn't turn the double play, but no advancement, still runners at the corners.
For Jose Abreu, who bounced out to short his first time. This being Mother's Day, Abreu's mother, Daisy, likes calling Jose when he is out of the lineup to say, why are you not earning your paycheck today? Why are you not playing? You've seen it, Steve, for years and years. You've covered his entire career. He doesn't like DHing either.
He wants to be on the field each and every day because he feels he can help his team win with his glove as well as he can with his bat. He also is adept at the 3-6-3 or 3-6-1 double play. He's accurate, he's decisive, and he usually gets it away pretty quickly. And you played both positions. Came up a third baseman, you shifted to first base. Going to the other side of the diamond to first base, how difficult is that throw consistently to second?
Yeah, it's a lot of footwork, and it's arm angles, and getting yourself in a good position. The attitude you got to have, though, is that is the hardest double play to turn, is that 3-6, you know, well, now it's 3-4 in a lot of ways shifts, but, you know, I think that I always said, make a good throw, get the first out. If we get the second out, that's a great thing.
Oh, 0-2 for Abreu.
We've seen Jose many times when he gets down in the count, he starts looking toward right and right center field.
This is a guy you want to stay through the ball. The problem is sometimes it can beat you up inside with that movement.
Ripped to left field, and that is down into the corner, down the left field line. Joe McEwing waves around a second run. Robert is there, foot first, and the White Sox have taken a 3-0 lead this Sunday afternoon.
A gamble by Joe McEwing at third base, and a gamble because you never really know how the ball is going to carry him off the wall, and the relay throw coming in. So the relay throw is to Bogaerts. He doesn't make a great throw. If this is on the money, if this is low and to the runner side, you might have a shot at him. But he knows Robert's got great speed and decides to put the pressure on the defense.
His athleticism is off the charts, too, because he did slow up just a little bit, thinking, I'm not getting sent here, and Joe just went crazy and sent him. Good job recovering there, and, yeah, getting that ball in from left field quickly, you know, that's the key with Verdugo right there.
That's all for Tanner Houck. 2 2/3. The White Sox jump on him 3-0. QR code displayed on your screen to learn more and donate. Top of the third inning on this Mother's Day and day baseball, as Hirokazu Sawamura is in out of the Red Sox bullpen after 2 2/3 of Tanner Houck. And it's Yasmani Grandal who Sawamura faces first. The book on Sawamura, Uke?
Well, he's going to come at you. He's going to throw that splitter is his out pitch in a lot of ways to lefties, but he's going to throw the fastball and slider.
ERA at 4.15 and 8 2/3 to this point for Sawamura.
He also is not going to rush you in the at bat. He'll take some time.
There's a strike, 1-1. How important was tempo to you when you were in the box?
Yeah, timing and tempo is everything, and a lot of times too, it's the tempo of the pitcher can distract you in a lot of ways. You got to make sure you're staying within yourself. The speed of the arm of a pitcher too. Sometimes you get yourself trying to do too much and trying to speed up your swing to the when a pitcher goes really crazy and rocks and fires.
Grandal to left field. Verdugo is back. Now he comes racing in and he dives to put it away.
Well, there you can see the wind working right there. That ball looked like it was a lot farther, but great job, Verdugo, making that play.
By PointsBet, and the White Sox have been to the playoffs for back-to-back years for the first time in franchise history and trying to win back-to-back Centrals. They are plus 100 right now. But Minnesota at plus 130 with all of the changes they made just before the season started. The Twins have put together a very nice beginning to this season. 1994, that was not Rich Strike, the Derby winner, when the White Sox and Cleveland had that great race that was shaping up. But this White Sox team, Steve, had a lot of belief in spring training, and even though they're down a couple of games to Minnesota, they still do believe.
This was a very confident team because they thought they were going to dominate offensively, and the bullpen they knew would be as strong as anybody's around.
Against the wind into short right field, and veering is Leury Garcia for out number 1. Uke, are you thrilled that you're not playing down there today?
I'm so thrilled I'm not in the outfield today. If you ever pull up any video of my outfield, it is not pretty, and then you add some wind to it, it's fully the most embarrassing outfield you ever see.
What's the key on a day like today, do you think? Accomplished outfielder as you are.
Yeah. The only thing I do know is never put those feet into the ground and keep them into the ground. You better be moving around until you catch that ball.
The key is really the movement of your head in the outfield. If your head moves around, you're not going to be able to stay with anything. You pick it up early, you make sure you see it, and in right field in this ballpark, the sun is so difficult, depending on what time of day the game is, that it makes it probably the most difficult right field to play in all of baseball, especially with all of the angles and all of the ground you have to cover.
And that is one perk of the 11:35 game.
It's foul, 1-1. What perk is that?
So so when the sun sets here in right field, it's really bad around 3:30 to 5, BP, 4 the BP time. But right now, at this time, it'll be all right. And also the shadows. The shadows start creeping in at home plate later in that game. A 4 o'clock start like yesterday, you saw in the first inning. Hard to pick up the slider early on.
Yeah, I really like those shadows.
Yeah.
I would petition for more shadows because you can't pick up the spin of the ball.
Pitchers loved it.
And if you're a breaking ball pitcher, they cannot see the spin out of your hand at all.
To right. Garcia's back on it, and he is there to make the catch. 2 down for Trevor Story, and when you think of 11:30 a.m. baseball, you think of waking up, alarm clock goes on, and you're going to the Little League fields. And Alex Cora told us a story about that when we were in his office before the game. But everybody that plays Major League Baseball started playing Little League or in their backyard or whatever it might be. Trevor Story, when he was like 8 years old, was playing with 11 and 12-year-olds down in Irving, Texas. He grew up a Rangers fan and then ends up with Colorado and with Boston.
Yeah, the beauty of Little League. I'm very fortunate to be a manager of my son's team, and it's a lot of fun. But I still remember growing up in Cincinnati, every time it rained, I'd cry.
Did you really?
Cried every single time.
In the air, left-hand side. Let's see. Gavin Sheets charging in, and he is there to make the catch for round number 3. His 3rd game in left field. Good luck with the win, Gavin. To be joined by Alex Verdugo down in left field here in the top of the 4th inning. All right, Alex, first of all, thank you for doing this. Second of all, what is it like dealing with the wind today?
Yeah, the last 2 days, man, it's been extremely difficult. There's no real routine ball out here to left. He hits it with a little bit of slice, and you have that wind cutting across. It's been no fun at all.
There's a bunt by Gavin Sheets, and there's out number 1. So as a batter comes up, we saw you looking at that card. What are you looking at, and where's your mind go when a new batter comes to the plate?
So really, yeah, I think there's a flag up high that I usually look at, or if Jackie's out there and right, they'll kind of let me know where it's going. But, I'm sorry, can you repeat the question, though?
It's you, Kay, buddy. Yeah, it's that wind gauge. I know. We know you look up at that wind gauge and check it out, man.
You could throw grass on the ground right here, but it swirls when you're down low. The real wind is up high.
Well, you're doing a lot better than I did out in left field. I'll tell you that right now, buddy. But hey, I can't interrupt a pitch. I can't, as a player, I can't do that for you. Uh-oh.
And that is not a good sign at all behind home plate. The plate umpire, Ron Kolpa, is down behind the plate. Alex, we'll talk to you again in a minute. They're going to take a look at Ron Kolpa and make sure he's all right. He's down on the ground.
We'll take another look, and this one gets him flush in the mask, and I am shocked more home plate umpires don't get whiplash on balls just like this. I mean, that hit him square. You know it had to jar him, and he's feeling around for his jaw and trying to regain some semblance of normal.
Yeah, that looked like it just took like a hook to the chin.
Well, thank goodness he's up. I know umpires catch a lot of flack, but there are a lot of good guys doing that job. You both know it. You both, I'm sure, gotten in arguments and wanted a strike here and there, but these guys do work very hard at the craft, and it's just awful to see.
Yeah, he's also a hockey guy. Ron loves hockey, and so right there, no better person to be behind the dish to recover from this, but we'll see. I mean, probably going through concussion protocol right now.
Did you get to know the umpires personally? I mean, you're going up there 4 times, 5 times a game as a hitter. You're interacting with them quite a bit. Was it important to maintain a certain rapport with an umpire to maybe, just maybe, you get a close pitch?
Yeah, I probably wasn't the best at it. I was always frustrated because I thought a ball was, the strike that he called was a ball. But, at first base, you do a lot of that. You can talk with the umpires and gain that rapport and figure it out. But, yeah, I don't know. I wish I could know. I mean, Sean Casey was really probably the best at all that. But I think if you really dissect it, I don't know if you get any calls by just being friends with them.
Well, I used to never criticize the umpire because early in my career I realized he's got life and death over my performance that night. And because I threw a lot of curveballs, which is the most difficult pitch to call because it breaks so much, I felt that a good rapport was essential. And I used to talk to umpires, and after the inning I would question them, but saying, was that third pitch to Cooper, was that one a little too high? Was it a little too low? What were you calling that? And I think that kind of respect to him, I think, went a long way.
I'm sure it did. Ron Kolpa is walking off the field, and while we have a moment, Alex Verdugo, can you still hear us? You got us?
Yeah, I still got you.
As you're standing out there and watching this happen, I know you talk to umpires some too. What's your relationship with the umpires in Major League Baseball?
I feel like my relationship, I'm pretty good with them. You know, I don't like to talk back to them or give them a hard time too much. But I just show them with respect, and like you said, you kind of hope that borderline call just goes your side.
Babe, I know it's hard to hear out there, bud. This is Uke again. So when you talk to an umpire, right? So all the fans always want to know, when you talk to an umpire on a pitch you didn't like, how do you ask them a question?
For me, it's more of like if we're talking, in the strike zone or a ball or strike, it's kind of, you take a pitch, and if I think it's borderline, I kind of just ask them like, hey, you got that on the corner, or is that the bottom, or is that the top? You just ask them like if that's their limit. If they say yes, then I'll say, oh, okay, all right, that's not too bad. But if it's like, no, I got a little bit more room, and I feel like it's a borderline call, that's when I kind of let them know, like, hey, I think that ball's out. We got to get him in just a little. But I think it's more of the tone, and maybe don't look back at the umpire. Just kind of look straight down towards the plate and just be just talk to him. Just be professional. Don't try to show anybody up.
Alex, you have a left field wall here like no other in all of baseball. You play 81 games here. What's the biggest intricacy of learning how to play that wall? Do you have to take like bounces off the wall every which direction, or what do you do as the left fielder?
I think for me, it's the biggest thing is just reading the ball in the air, or judging how hard the ball's hit. If the ball's hit hard, up at the top of the monster, it's it's going to kind of ricochet a little bit harder. For me, it's not too bad. I feel like I get my angles pretty well. What kind of will play tricky is if you're trying to be aggressive. So usually when there's a ball off the monster, you'll let it kind of hit the monster, hit the warning track, and then you'll get that bounce and throw it in, right? Like with the shuffle. When it's a speedy guy, like, someone who's fast, and like, hey, that ball that has that, when it's in the air, they're most likely going to almost be on second. I try to get a little closer to the warning track, and I try to catch it right off the wall. Like, as soon as it hits the wall, before it hits the warning track, I try to catch it and fire it in. The way that helps, though, is when my outfielders back me up. If I have Kike out here, which he always does a great job backing me up, it makes me more willing to take those chances.
What was it like? Because you came over from the Los Angeles Dodgers, where you probably felt you were going to spend a great deal of time. You were involved in the trade that sent Mookie Betts to Los Angeles. When you came here, after being traded for a great player in Mookie Betts, was there more pressure on you here in Boston?
No, I think the way I thought about it is like there's no pressure. You know what I mean? Like, there's pressure if you want to make it that way and you want to, kind of focus on that. But I feel like that's unhealthy to do that. It's, I play my game. Mookie plays his game. We have different levels to our game. We have different, things that we do very well. So for me, it's just, progress, man. Just stay within myself. Don't try to do too much, and just keep progressing every year. Get a little bit better. And I feel like, each year I'm learning more and more. I'm learning a lot about this, and even this year where I feel like I've kind of been on a little bit of a tough luck side of it. April had a good start of the season, and ran into a tough end of the stretch of April, just hitting barrels. The ball didn't seem to be flying as far, and things like that. So then I got frustrated, and I was trying to kind of do more, just up my effort level. And when I was doing that, well, I noticed that my pitch discipline, my plate discipline, everything kind of went out the window. What made me left. So it was kind of just like, hey, let's get back to where we are. Let's get back to what makes me, me, and just shoot the left side, man. Shoot the left side, and then I catch those balls out in front, and that's when we start elevating.
We're joined by Alex Verdugo down in the field. And Alex, it's going to be the first base umpire, Marty Foster, who's going to come in and be the plate umpire for Ron Kolba. I love, by the way, Alex, you're just walking out there in center field and talking to us. This is the greatest walk and talk in the history of the world. Thank you.
No, of course. Yeah, I had to be right here because when I'm standing by the bullpen, it's just so loud. I got the guys talking, the fans yelling, and obviously the music. So it's I'm multitasking right now.
Do you like ABBA? I mean, like that's the loudest dancing queen that you're ever gonna hear, man.
Yeah, it's pretty loud. I feel like these speakers could go up a little bit more, though.
Oh, you think so? So I got a question for you. When I was talking to Gavin Sheets yesterday, who's playing left field as well, he said that he's standing out on the dead patch of grass where you stand in left field. So where you stand is where he's been standing. Are you going to ever replace that? I mean, it looks like you're killing the grass out there.
No, I like it. I'm all about like I like to have like a little spot in the grass. Like, you know, if I'm on turf, what I'll do is I'll get like a piece of gum and I'll blow like a little bubble and I'll stick it in my spot. And I can kind of see like a little bubble stood up just so I don't always have to go back to that spot and like, you know, oh, I got to be over 5 steps. Like I can kind of do the eye test and say, all right, I'm 1 step back, I'm about 5 out, so this is where I got to be. It's just a nice little indicator to go without really having to do extra steps. And then, you know, when you have pitchers that have pitch comm and stuff, they're very, very fast, and they get their call as the as the pitch is already done. It's like fastball, you know, outside, and then they get on the mound, they're ready to go. So for me, it's just try to utilize something that helps me, you know, be ready to go all the time.
Love it. Well, I think you need to change the spot of the outfield so Gavin Sheets plays way out so you get some more knocks today, bud. But all right, got to ask you this: favorite spot in Boston to go for dinner?
Favorite spot in Boston for dinner?
Or favorite food of Boston? Either or.
It's kind of a hard one because I really haven't had too many like dinners out here.
COVID definitely restrict that.
I mean, I've had, obviously I love the lobster rolls. I'm a big seafood guy, so like anything with seafood, man. You have crab legs, lobsters, I mean, you know, the lobster mac and cheese, all that stuff, I love it. So, you know, if you guys got any recommendations, I'm all ears over here. I would love to try out a spot, but
I got you, buddy. I got a few spots I'll send your way.
Yes, please.
Hey, when are you going to be a two-way player?
I don't know. I mean, obviously, you know, we gotta be really good on one side of the field first. You know, we gotta lock it in on the offensive side and just playing every day. But my biggest thing is if I can start doing, you know, I've been doing shoulder programs, been doing some arm care like what pitchers do, and it really benefits me in the outfield. You know, I feel like my arm is kind of coming back. I think, you know, the hardest throw I've thrown this year was 99 from the outfield, so I haven't felt that kind of velo like in a long time. So I feel like it's already paying dividends, and you know, I got some weakness in my shoulder. Just, you know, I got to lock it in, and this shoulder program has really just helped and, you know, engaged it and made me feel a lot better with it. So I mean, safe bet, maybe 2 to 3 years. You know, I know I said 2023, but we're pushing it back. And I think the biggest thing is, you know, if it's a blowout game, like, don't waste any arms. You know what I mean? Just let me go out there and try to see what I got. If it's competitive, then we roll with it. If it isn't, then, you know, we just stick with the blowout rules.
Hey, I love that you have the pitch all set, though. Like, hey, I'm helping the team. Don't waste any arms.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. When we grew up playing baseball, it was like, for me being a two-way guy especially, like if I wasn't hitting, I used to love to come and like close the game out or you know, relieve or whatever, because then I'm like, oh, I'm 0 for 4, 0 for 3. All right, I'm throwing as hard as I can. Like I'm letting out all the frustration right here, and I would just rip it.
They're playing your song Gasolina as you're speaking of how you're going to throw 99.
Well, I mean, off the mound, the hardest pitch I threw when I did pitch was 97. So I never got up to the 99. But I don't know. We you know, kids can dream, right? We can dream.
Hey, that's perfect. Kids can dream. We'll let you go on that. Alex, thank you so much for walking and talking with us.
Of course.
Good dude. Alex Verdugo, thank you for your time. Really appreciate it. It is the White Sox and the Red Sox. We are at an umpire delay. Ron Kulpa was hit with a foul ball. He went down. Marty Foster, the first base umpire, went into the dugout, and he's changing into his equipment. They're going to be a 3-man crew now.
Well, one thing that was really interesting, and this being the first Peacock game in quite some time, was you got a chance to hear something that you never get a chance to hear during a championship season. You get a player on the field, both when the inning starts and obviously with this delay. You got a chance to ask him, pretty much it was life and times of Alex Verdugo. I mean, you're talking about inside the sport, getting something that you couldn't possibly get. Obviously, we all feel very bad for Ron Kulpa, and hopefully he's going to be okay. But this delay came at a time, just coincidentally, when Alex was mic'd, and we got a lot of Alex there.
Oh, absolutely. That was fun. Great stuff from Alex Verdugo. Hey, get ready for revenge as champions face new challengers and old rivals in WrestleMania Backlash. Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, Charlotte Flair, and all your favorites battle it out tonight, 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific, only on Peacock. And catch all of the fallout on WWE Raw tomorrow at 8/7 Central, only on USA. And Ahmed is downstairs with a special guest.
Jason, we are just having casual conversations here at the ballpark today. I am with WWE superstar Sasha Banks, who is a big-time Red Sox fan. What's going on? How are you enjoying the day?
I am just blown away that I'm here. It's such a dream come true. This is my first time ever at Fenway Park. Can you believe that?
So you didn't grow up a Red Sox fan, but you became a Red Sox fan.
I became a Red Sox fan just being here in Boston. I mean, we are the city of champions. I am a champion myself, a multi-time champion, a 10-time champion to be correct. So, you know, I had to come out here and become a fan of the city. So Boston's where it's at, always.
And you've got your mother here, you've got your brother Joshua right next to you, and you had the honor of throwing out the first pitch earlier today. Tell me, were there nerves? What was the preparation?
You know, I was a little bit nervous. I just wanted to do better than Mariah Carey and Snoop Dogg, so that was my goal. As you can see, I was aiming up. Ooh, what a perfect throw. Barely warmed up, but like a boss, the legit boss that I am, you know, I could hit a home run.
Now you want to hit a home run. Now you want to get the ceremonial first at bat. You know, not everyone goes from the pitcher's mound, so
I know.
Big props to you.
Does it?
All right, so the hardware on your shoulder,
yes.
What's that from?
This is the tag team championship. I am one half with my partner Naomi, and this is everything to me. It's awesome.
So you have had a lot of signature moments. You became the first woman to headline a WrestleMania. Just talk about your career and the meteoric rise of it with the hardware to prove it.
Man, it's crazy. It started all here in Boston, actually, over 11 years ago. And to go from here to main eventing a WrestleMania 37 with Bianca Belair, all my dreams have come true thanks to the WWE. And every day I just get to live my dream. It's just beyond everything I've ever dreamt of and more.
All right, so enjoy the rest of the game. Good luck on getting that first at bat. We'll see if you can pop one over the monster out there.
Let's go Red Sox.
Jason, we're just having conversations here at Fenway Park.
I love it. Ahmed, you've been around the ballpark here today. I know you love baseball. It courses through your veins. What's it like being on the field at Fenway for a Sunday morning ball game down there?
You look up, Jason, and you can't believe it, honestly. In this job, it takes you to a lot of places. I was just in Louisville, Kentucky yesterday for the Kentucky Derby. Flew over here overnight. It's a special place, and we're not just talking baseball, right? It's a special place in all of worldwide sports. It just doesn't. Sometimes it doesn't seem real, but I've enjoyed it so far. It's a great atmosphere for baseball, and it's with a lot of other people who love the game just like we do, guys.
Ahmed, thank you very much. You played here. I mean, were there days when you just stopped and you said, I'm playing at Fenway Park and it's my home ballpark?
Yeah, definitely in the beginning. When you come in here, it's definitely the energy that you feel, the excitement, the exuberance. But then over time, it just becomes a real thing. But I just always loved the energy that the fans gave, and then how you saw other teams in those late innings kind of crumble with that energy around them.
I've never seen somebody say the word crumble with a bigger grin on his face than you just did.
I'm a competitor, man. I love seeing other teams crumble in the late innings.
Look, it's 3-0 White Sox here. If you just joined us, Marty Foster is going to go from first base to the plate. Ron Culpa left the game injured. And Steve, turning back to the game at hand, you have Sawamura, who just came in out of the bullpen for one batter in the third. He's facing Jake Berger on a 1-1 count right now. How do you deal with that as a pitcher?
Well, Sawamura is going to be allowed as many warm-up pitches as he wants because there was an inordinate amount of time between his last pitch and what will be his next pitch. Probably the biggest effect is going to be on Dallas Keuchel. And the reason is, let's face it, through three, he was aggressive, he was throwing strikes, he was as pinpoint with his command as he's been after that first inning. So he was rolling right along. He's got a 3-run lead, everything was feeling real good, and all of a sudden, he goes in after the inning. Now he sits on the bench for approximately 20-25 minutes. The thing he has to guard against is, number one, trying to do it too quickly. He has to get as many warm-up pitches as he possibly can, but then you have to replicate the rhythm that you had. He was in a good rhythm with all of his pitches. All that rhythm is now wiped away. He has to go and regain it. It's a difficult thing for a starting pitcher especially. Guys out of the bullpen are used to being rushed, getting up, throwing, getting up again, throwing again, because sometimes you warm up 2 or 3 times before you actually come in a game. It's a lot more difficult for a starter. We'll see how Sawamura fares, and certainly for Keuchel, this will be a challenge for him.
It's about 20 minutes right now, so once he gets back on the field, it's going to be, as you said, 25, maybe 30 minutes, depending on what the White Sox do here.
And one of the lucky things are there's a batting cage now on the visiting side. Back in the day, there was no batting cage over there where he could maybe go in there and throw a little bit. Used to be in center field where you have to go to hit, so it is one perk now for the visitors.
I'll bear that in mind when I make my comeback.
Good luck with that.
It's exactly a 20-minute delay, so we're ready to go. It's 1 out, nobody on, 4th inning. The White Sox have the lead, and Jake Berger has a slider. It's 1-2 on the White Sox third baseman. By the way, thanks to Alex Verdugo and some great insight from the Red Sox left fielder on playing at the Green Monster, as there is strike 3. Berger is down on strikes. Every time you hear a player talk from down on the field, you realize just how much everybody's a grown-up kid playing the game, right? I mean, we talked to Alex Cora, and he mentioned like he would wake up and be up at 9 o'clock, leave the house, and just stay at the field all day long. There's something really beautiful about morning baseball and sort of the little league feel of it, at least to me. I don't know about you guys.
I don't mind it at all. I'm a morning person. But when you get in the routines as a major league ball player and you're playing at night all the time, some guys are really bad at getting up in the morning, and others are easy, especially ones that have kids. They get up a little bit earlier. But man, some players that I played with hated this game.
Well, remember, before 8-9-88, the Cubs didn't have lights, and every game was a day game. And if your biorhythms and body clock couldn't function, you did not excel when you went there. And I don't think it's a coincidence that they didn't win for a whole long time before they got those lights.
So I know it's 2 strikes and 2 outs here, but you any teammates that you cared to bury here on being bad morning teammates?
God, I'm trying to remember which teammates struggled in the morning.
I don't think you're trying to remember. I think you're trying to decide whether or not you want to take them out.
No, I can't remember right now. It's been too long.
1-2, and Reese McGuire pops this one up. Left-hand side should be easily playable, and it is for Devers and the Red Sox. So, thanks to Alex Verdugo, we will go bottom 4. The Red Sox part of the lineup you talked about, Uke, that needs to kick it into gear. Devers, Bogarts, Martinez next. News and pop culture. Next week, catch his interview with actor-comedian Mike Myers on NBC and on Peacock. And of course, you can always watch Today every morning on NBC. Mike Myers of Wayne's World fame.
I have not heard that name in a long time.
How good were he and Dana Carvey?
Oh, the best.
Look, we're here at the bottom of the 4th inning, And we had basically an entire episode of Choose Your Sitcom since Dallas Keuchel has thrown a pitch. 28 minutes, Steve.
Yeah, this is going to be really important for him because he was throwing so well, and I'm sure he felt really good about the fact that he'd only walked the one man. Kike Hernandez leading off the ball game. He walked him. He got out of that first inning. And then getting the ball over the plate and challenging hitters. So we'll have to see if the magic is gone or if he can continue to at least go 5, possibly 6 innings.
So what will be a sign for you as we start this half inning that it's there or not?
Falling behind. If he consistently falls behind, you know that somewhere along the line he's lost the rhythm.
First pitch, good start. Strike one to Rafael Devers.
This is a great test because you're talking about Devers, Bogarts, Martinez. Anybody gets on, it's Vasquez. And for him, this is normally a tough inning anyway.
Wave and a miss. That's a really good cutter away from Dallas Keuchel.
If he continues to show the left-handers that, he's going to neutralize them because they have both of the hits. They're not going to hit that one, certainly.
0-2. Up the middle into center field. Devers just reached out, and poked it on 2 strikes.
This guy is unbelievable how he gets the pitches. I mean, this is a guy that he chases outside the zone, but he can even square it up. But does a really good job of staying through it at the last minute. See how he just flicks and stays through it? The other way is just a ground ball to the right side. But man, way to manipulate that barrel and just stay through it just enough.
The difference between this base hit and the one he swung and missed at was that the one he swung and missed was a good 3 inches further out.
And that speaks very much to how thin the margin is at home plate for a major league pitcher against these hitters.
Yeah, and it also shows too a great hitter that when he gets a pitch down in the zone, he's not trying to get his A swing on it. He's trying to redirect that ball to give himself the highest percentage chance of getting a hit.
What you're saying basically is at that point a barrel's not possible.
A barrel's possible, right? But the way you can't barrel it up and have the exit velocity at 110 on that pitch. You're out in front. You have to stay back just enough and keep that barrel lagging behind a little bit. The problem is if you go in and out of it, it's an easy rollover.
Now he's behind 3-0.
I love to see guys that were trying to hit the ball out of the ballpark when they were behind in the count because you could use their aggressiveness against them. But if a guy would shorten his swing at all, just use a defensive swing and put the ball in play, they were the toughest guys to face.
Played in there for a strike from Keuchel. 3-1 to Xander Bogaerts.
And a lot of times with that, when guys are trying to hit home runs, they're trying to use too much energy, tightening up, and the swing gets a little long. And that's why you see the barrel lag behind. They get beat by it, or they're underneath it.
Right side off of Harrison into short right field. What could have been at least 1 out instead is 2 on, nobody out for Boston here in the 4th.
Yeah, this is a good job of getting the ball. You know, he's trying to go the other way. I mean, you know, with the sinker right here, he knows he's trying to go the other way. Here, Josh takes a dive at it because he thinks it's going to get farther, and the ball kind of just hopped up a little bit on the top part of his glove.
It looked to me like he didn't time the dive well because instead of getting it with extension, the ball actually hit part of his body. So that's one you need to get 1 out. It is a base hit. Dallas now in a jam.
With one of the most accomplished hitters in this lineup, JD Martinez. Hard hit up the middle, and that could be 2 and is for the White Sox. So Dallas Keuchel gets the ground ball he wants 1 pitch later, and 2 gone suddenly. Isn't that the way it's gone for the Red Sox this year?
Yeah, it just seems like even with the big dogs, there's at the right times, it's just not getting it there. Good sinker there and double play.
And for Danny Mendick, the only decision was, should he take it himself or risk the flip? Because he's standing right there and Martinez doesn't run well. He could have done it either way and it would have ended the same way.
Would have loved to have the microphone on those two to hear what they were talking about.
2 down for Vasquez, and he takes first pitch in there for a strike. Marty Foster now the plate umpire with the injury to Ron Kulpa, and we certainly hope Ron's all right. I was talking to Dallas Keuchel yesterday about what he was like when he was younger, when he was playing Little League, as we've talked about some today. And the first word that came out of his mouth was competitive. He said, like, even when he was 7 or 8 years old, he played 3 separate sports, and it was literally all about winning. His father was an extremely competitive guy. His mom was a catcher playing softball herself, and evidently competitiveness runs very deeply in the family.
We gotta love it. It's something that's in my family too. We love to compete, and man, it's so fun to watch, especially the moms.
There's strike 3, and Dallas Keuchel gets out of a major jam. Steve, you said don't get behind. He did, but then he pounded the zone.
Double play ground ball, turned around the inning.
Bracket at MLB.com/bleacher features for a chance to win a Hollywood prize package, including tickets to the All-Star game presented by MasterCard in LA. Pretty good. Quick favorite movies. You got 3 seconds.
Major League.
Field of Dreams.
All right, I'll take A League of Their Own.
Like it.
Yeah.
I needed more John Lovitz.
You did?
Yeah, I thought he was wonderful. I needed him a little longer into the movie. The movie was great.
You're the first reviewer, I think, that has said that specifically, but it's a good point. He's very funny. Tyler Danish just activated today with Waka on the injured list. He's a different guy than when he was pitching with the White Sox.
Yeah, you're going to see that sinker, then you're going to see a bunch of. They're listed as curveballs, but I find them slurvy.
He got hit again.
Josh Harrison is 2 for 2 in plunkings today.
Yeah, the ball's found him pretty well today. He got hit twice, and then playing second base, the ball hits him in the head. Luckily, that's a good spot.
If you're going to get hit, if you could order one up, that's where you'd like to get hit.
Oh, those are the best.
How good were they, Mr. Hit 87 times in a Red Sox uniform?
Well, those are the ones you cherish, not the first one he had.
You're like a connoisseur of hit by pitches. Where is good and where is not as good?
Yeah, you always want meat, right? So you get hit in the butt. That's always a good one. In the back is always a good one. Anything around the bone. So the elbow, the hands, the wrist. Oh man, don't miss those days.
There's that breaking ball you're talking about. 0-2.
That'll make him a different pitcher because he was a little short when he was in a White Sox uniform. Now he looks a lot more confident, but with a couple of different sliders, it changes what he'll try to do to hitters, and that last pitch broke very sharply.
Check on Harrison at first. I saw Steve taking notes on where to hit batters.
Yeah,
he had the pen out.
I did lead the league 1 year and hit batsmen.
Did you really?
And never intentionally, never even pushed them back. I mean, I was the kinder, gentler type of pitcher.
I'm certain that's not true. 0-2. Check swing. 1 ball and 2 strikes. What were you doing that year? Why were you hitting everybody?
I think it was the baseball. I think the ball was very slippery that year. And
Carolina mud.
Yeah, I thought it was all that kind of stuff, actually. Yeah.
Every pitcher blames the baseball.
I think the poor baseball needs some therapy sessions these days.
The baseball needs a lobbyist, I think.
We already got too many of those. We don't need any more.
Look. Throwing a first on Harrison. He is back.
I'll tell you what, yeah. So I talked to Tyler about this. He throws 2 different of the, I'll call them slurves, but he'll throw one that just has a little bit of the break, and then one has a really good sweep that we saw earlier.
So why does he like to have both of them? Where does he like to use both of them?
Well, yeah, I think to a righty too, when you first see the first slider that just has a little bit on it, then now you're going to be like, okay, you know, when it's on that outside corner, I got to go for it. But when it breaks more, it's a swing and a miss every time.
Here's a wave and a miss for strike 3 on that turbo sinker, and one gone.
And when you have those two pitches, right, that you can throw to a righty, they have to sit back a little bit. Now your 91 looks like it's playing at 93, 94 miles per hour.
This is pretty good late movement. You saw the late sink. And we know because of his arm angle, he's going to be more difficult on right-hand hitters than left-handers. It's going to be interesting to see how he tries to combat Garcia. Because although he's not the best left-hander around, he is swinging it pretty well right now.
And that's one thing he said, he's going to utilize that against a lefty, that big bender, make him swing at some bad pitches.
On the ground at third, Devers spins it to second, got one there. And that's all for the Red Sox, bringing up Robert. We are enjoying this here at Fenway Park with Steve Stone, Kevin Youkilis, Jason Benetti, our entire NBC Peacock crew. So glad to have Major League Baseball back on NBC for the first time in 22 years. And every week we will be on Peacock. I'll be here, 2 new analysts every week. People who know the team as well as anybody on the planet will be in the booth, and we will take in all the sights and sounds of Major League Baseball together as this is pumped to right field by Luis Robert. His first hit of the game. Throw coming in from right, hits the bag. Arroyo spiked it right off of second base, which is very difficult to do.
Looked like there might have been a play at third. However, when you hit the second base bag, it interrupts that. The break the Red Sox got was that the ball bounces straight up. This could have bounced anywhere.
I'll tell you what, when things are not going right, you see the craziest things in this game. I don't think I've ever seen that on a throw to third from right field hit the base. Like Steve said, luckily that thing went right up to Bogaerts.
I mean, Arroyo has not played a lot of right field. He's typically an infielder, so he's got an understanding of where the bases are and how to turn a double play. He just decided to smack the bag with a throw.
It was on line.
Yeah.
You know, going to third base. And he's played a few games this year and done a really good job. He had a couple great catches. The one game I got to do where he was going to his right and going into the wasabi sign if you're here at Fenway Park.
Up the middle, second base, and a scoop from Story to Bogaerts. White Sox strand a couple. We saw second base get hit from right. So much for you today.
They say. And it's sent to left field. How about that play? Grand slam! Gone! Game winner! Yes, sir!
Okay, so here's the deal. We figured we would double down on never seeing a ball thrown from right field hit second base with a peacock playing the piano, which is also new for you. Next week on Sunday, we'll be down in Atlanta. It's the Padres and the Braves, week 2 of our Peacock MLB Sunday leadoff. And my analysts will be Mark Sweeney, former San Diego Padre 2 times. And then the 10-time Gold Glover for the Atlanta Braves, Andrew Jones, will be on the telecast, who will have marvelous insight on playing the outfield. Very excited to see what he has to say on playing center field, along with being so very young in the postseason. So Sweeney and Jones will join me for next week's ball game as Verdugo taps out to lead off the 5th.
The toughest part of a play where a guy hits a squibber in front of the plate is getting an angle on the throw. But because that ball went out a bit further, for McGuire, he naturally had that angle and made a good throw to first.
Bobby Dahlbeck, his favorite player growing up, Ken Griffey Jr. What a sweet swing.
Great player.
so many kids in the backyard, I think, lefty, righty, either, tried to mimic that swing of Ken Griffey Jr.
Oh, no doubt. And growing up in Cincinnati, the legendary stories of every ball field you played on that Ken Griffey Jr. played on. He hit the ball 600 feet every single time he played on that field, and you would look at a pinpoint and be like, what? How did he hit that far? The legends.
But it wasn't really fair because left-handers do everything more beautifully than right-handers. The swing of Griffey was gorgeous, and yet you'd kick a right-hander, maybe equally as effective. It just doesn't look as good.
I definitely agree with that.
You know, swings in baseball and iconic swings really stick in people's minds, so much so that when the three of us walked into Tony La Russa's office this morning, the first thing he did was mimic Kevin Youkilis's swing and was like, how did you do that?
No, it was hand position. You had an interesting way in which he grabbed the bat, and Tony went right to that. He didn't say anything. He just mimicked grabbing the bat like Uke did.
That's the only way I'll be remembered for the rest of my life by all baseball players. The stance.
Yeah, so what I want to know, when did that start, though? How did you start doing that? Because people look at it and they say he couldn't have done that when he was like 5.
No, I had a lot of different batting stances, and I just call it the evolution of a stance, and somehow it got there. And what I've learned in this game is you got to figure out what works for you, and if it's crazy, as long as it works, you got to stick with it.
That's strike 3. Steve, Dallas Keuchel has been working inside very well here, and he gets the second out of the 5th inning.
Well, look, he's very familiar with this ballpark, and he realizes left-hander, right-hander, you've got to go inside. That was a cutter under the hands of Dahlbeck. It was a perfect pitch here because if you do get any part of the bat on it, it's going foul. And so Dallas today has had magnificent command after that first inning. And he got out of a tough jam last inning.
It's a very good sign for White Sox fans. And if you haven't seen Uke's batting stance, we do have file footage of that. This is in your return as a White Sox player.
Well, at least we're showing a good one. That's a homer.
There it goes. This is hit well to center field. Robert is back, and Robert has to play it off the wall. Christian Arroyo slides into second base, and he has a 2-out double here in the 5th.
This is an absolute bullet, too, today on these windy conditions. Man, that ball hit the wall. I didn't think anything was going to go off the wall in center field today, but man, Christian does a great job just staying through that pitch and redirecting the spin on it.
The difference on that one and the one that struck out Dahlbeck, that one had most of the plate. I think Dallas probably tried to get it in, couldn't get it there, and that was a sweet spot of the bat. You're not going to hit him much harder than that.
A 1-for-2 day for Arroyo. Yeah, that is. It's been like that 2 days in a row now, 2 days running here at Fenway Park. And so we saw a low-scoring game yesterday. The White Sox came back and won, and now Boston trying to do the same today. Kike Hernandez taking strike 1.
That's really economical in pitches. Only 68 of them so far for Keuchel.
Outside, 1 ball and 1 strike to Hernandez.
When you're facing a lefty like Keuchel, the key as a hitter, you know, what you want is for him to only establish one side of the plate with a little bit of lower velocity. But he's doing a really good job of really hitting the inside and outside part of the plate and switching up speeds.
2-1 from Keuchel.
Uke is, if a guy has 95, 97 mile an hour fastball, do you have to give up one side of the plate because you can't cover it all because of the velocity?
100% early in the count, you want to make sure that you have your quadrant that you're strong in. You don't want to get outside of it because bad things happen when you go outside of your strengths.
2-2 on Hernandez.
I always felt it was important for a pitcher to go to his strength, even if it's the hitter's strength. If you show me as a hitter that you can hit my strength, then I have to go to your weakness, which just coincidentally might be my weakness and doesn't serve me well. So it's adjustment at bat to at bat by both pitcher and hitter.
to shortstop. Danny Mendick to first base. And that will do it. Dallas Keuchel, 5 shutout innings for the White Sox and a 3-0 White Sox lead. Sunday leadoff is brought to you by Uber Eats. Get groceries, alcohol, and essentials delivered. And by PointsBet. Once the game starts, don't just bet. Live your bet life with PointsBet. On this day in 1901, the first home game for the then Boston Americans. It has been a busy day, May the 8th in Red Sox history. It was an auspicious christening of Huntington Avenue grounds. The Philadelphia's prove easy victims. Writers back in the day had a vicious pen, let's say. Prove easy victims. It's tough. Fenway Park is a joy to walk around. They have a flower garden on the suite level down the third base line. I believe they still have hot dog vending machines here, which is a top-notch deal. This on a line to left field, Verdugo, and it clangs off the wall. That is going to be a base hit only for Yasmani Grandal, leading off the 6th for the White Sox.
It's a great sign for the White Sox that Grandal is starting to sting the baseball. First half of last year, that knee was a big problem for him. If you don't have a solid base, you're not going to be able to hit very well. And then all of a sudden, when that knee became solid, when he felt really good about it, he started hitting the ball out of the park from both sides of the plate. And with a right-hand dominated lineup, that is the best case scenario for the White Sox.
The nooks and crannies of the Green Monster at Fenway Park. Watch where this ball hits. It's almost in the hole. Clash when the Houston Gamblers take on the New Orleans Breakers next on NBC and Peacock. In our ball game, the White Sox have the leadoff man on in the 6th inning, and Austin Davis is out of the bullpen for Alex Cora and the Red Sox youth.
Yeah, you're going to see a lot of sliders and a lot of four-seam fastballs from him and an occasional changeup, but he's been throwing the ball pretty well lately, and yeah, sit back and watch this one here.
The White Sox have pinch hit for Gavin Sheets. Adam Engel has grabbed a bat. He is an outstanding defensive outfielder, and he'll bat right-handed against the lefty Davis. But typically, Steve, Adam Engel comes in late in the ball game.
Well, he comes on when the White Sox have the lead. And last night, a key double down the left field line. So he's starting to swing it a whole lot better.
2 strikes on Adam. Like the two of you, an Ohio kid himself in the Cincinnati area. Adam was a tremendous punt returner growing up. Did you ever return punts, you?
I never returned punts, but you know, Cincinnati kids, football, baseball, those are the 2 sports.
Cincinnati Moeller was pretty good school for academics, but certainly for athletics.
Yeah, that was the private school where I grew up in Montgomery. I was a Sycamore High School kid. As a Jewish kid, you didn't get to go to the Archbishop Moeller.
1-2 for Engel, and that is tip foul by Adam. White Sox took the lead in the 3rd inning with a grand total of 3 hits in the inning, including a Jose Abreu RBI double. And the White Sox trying to win their 6th game in a row. Boston's lost 4 straight. and that hit him. So Engel down at 2 strikes is the 3rd hit batsman for the White Sox today.
I think when you're in a hole, when you're behind an account against a pitcher you've never seen before, if you come away without any real damage here, this isn't a bad thing. It pushes 2 on with nobody out, and you get out of that hole you're in.
That is literally what you call a back foot slider.
That is right.
True about that.
Hated the back foot slider.
And pitchers love that you hated it.
Oof. Scott Kazmir was always the guy when he first came up. His back foot slider was the worst. Couldn't lay off it.
We saw Carlos Rodin lose a perfect game with the slider that hit Roberto Perez in the foot.
Oh. In the 9th.
In the 9th, yeah, that was quite a ball game.
Foul ball from Jake Berger. 2 strikes on Berger, the 26-year-old third baseman.
Austin Davis is from Scottsdale, Arizona. He's a big left-hander at 6'4", 230. And with the Red Sox looking for answers consistently out of that bullpen, he becomes a big factor for them from the left side.
Berger chases strike 3 and 1 down.
He's swinging at the motion rather than the ball because this one isn't near the plate. But because he's never seen him before, that's big advantage to the pitcher.
You guys know that the MLB.TV free preview ends today? Thank you for answering. Watch baseball live or on demand on your favorite supported devices. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.TV for details.
Well,
I asked you a question.
You take for granted.
I had no idea what you were talking about.
We absolutely knew that.
Yeah,
I paid for mine already.
Oh, you did? So swing and a miss for strike 1 to McGuire. You have to pay for MLB.TV.
I know, right?
You don't have a connection on that. You don't get like the 10-year, like the pension kicks in and you get free MLB.TV.
We should work on that with the gold card. When you get your gold card, you get a free MLB.TV for life.
There you go. 1 strike on McGuire. And now 1-1. Tony La Russa playing both of his catchers in the lineup this afternoon. Grandal at first, McGuire catching. And there you see the view from the monster seats, which I don't believe were here when you first got here. Right, Hugh?
No, they added them in, yeah. I've sat up there before for a game. It's actually really cool. Great seats, a lot of fun. I do miss the Coke bottle. That was it was the coolest thing here as a hitter. And I got to hit it 1 time, but every hitter you want to hit it and say, hey, I'm a little thirsty today. I want to go up there and hit the Coke bottle.
Who'd you hit it off of? Do you remember?
Oh man, you just threw me for a loop. Cleveland, closer. Oh.
In the air, third base side, and Rafael Devers fading into foul territory for out number 2.
Drawing a blank here. I'm horrible at this stuff, but yeah, it was in the ALCS of 2007.
Oh, in the ALCS?
Correct. Somebody will pull that up and tell me.
I see sparks flying off Dave Corus's keyboard, our statistician. So I think that means that it's coming soon.
I have to believe that I probably gave one of those up to Jim Rice because he was 21 for 37 against me lifetime.
Come on.
Yeah, I mean, literally, I could have told him what was coming, and he couldn't have hit me any better.
You should have just stepped off the mountain and thrown it over the monster.
It was ridiculous.
Well, that's when they had the net.
You talking about save the middleman?
Yeah, just step off and throw it over.
Goodness, 21 for 37?
Yes. But that was deceiving because he was hitting in tough luck. Some of the others were line drives that were caught.
Oh,
95% hard hit rate.
Oh, it was horrible.
Thanks for the memories.
But yeah, but I can hardly remember those 21.
Right. Who was the guy that you faced, Uke, that you just tortured?
Oof. Was it, oh man, Ricky Romero, I think,
from the Blue Jays?
In Toronto. Yeah, I had pretty good stats against him.
Swing and a miss by Harrison, who's been hit twice. Plunked in the 3rd and the 5th. 2 on, 2 out. Big spot for the White Sox, trying to build on a 3-0 lead. Ooh, boy. Testing the corner.
He almost got the hat trick of hit by pitches. I don't know if I've seen that.
I was going to ask if you've done it.
Ooh, I don't know.
So he's been hit twice. What do you throw him here on 2 and 2, Steve?
Well, I think the Red Sox believe they can throw inside to Harrison.
He's out over the plate, and he flips it into center field. Hernandez fighting the sun, and he makes the catch for out number 3. Happy Mother's Day to everybody out there. Major League Baseball in the morning and early afternoon, and to all you moms, happy Mother's Day.
Reed here. I am currently standing in the place to be, but on this day 96 years ago, you wanted no piece of this area. There was a fire here at Fenway Park, damaging a significant part of the ballpark. This area over there by the third base side as well. It took about 10 years for them to renovate this ballpark here. Tom Yawkey, who owned the team at the time, paid about $1.25 million to buy the team. He spent over $1 million in renovations. In part of those renovations, what they did, they removed some seats that were here in left field, and it gave way to what is now the Green Monster. So guys, without that fire on this day 96 years ago, the Green Monster as we know it today may not have existed.
You think about, and thank you, Ahmed, baseball without the Green Monster, so many families and so many memories would just be different, including Bobby Dahlbeck of the Red Sox. Growing up in Washington, his yard had a large green hedge in it that the family called the Green Monster. You see a giant green wall and you immediately think of Fenway Park.
Well, there's no doubt it would look a whole lot different without that. It certainly lends character to the ballpark and also makes some really strange bounces when someone clangs it off there.
Yeah, we wouldn't have a mascot named Wally either.
That's true. He is green. His name's Wally. As the story goes, by the way, there you see the dents in the wall.
Oh, yeah.
Thing.
The dents are the best. Go up there and look and see how hard you hit a ball.
You did that?
I don't know. I don't know if I did.
You don't know. Wave and a miss, strike 3. Dallas Keuchel busting right-handed batters inside to 5 1/3 scoreless.
Well, we talked about the fact this is one of the keys for Dallas Keuchel, and he's using it very well here this afternoon.
This is through 5 innings for Dallas Keuchel. Outs by pitch type. He's using it all, Steve.
Well, the sinker and the changeup are very good. The cutter helps him establish his sinker and changeup, and he's used the one slider. So he's sailing along, but they're keeping a close eye on him because going into the 6th inning and getting through it has been problematic for him this year. But today, everything is smooth sailing, and he's only given up the 1 extra base hit, the double to Arroyo.
0-1. And now 0-2 to wrap the story. According to an article from the Boston Globe, evidently that day that the park had that fire, there was a minor fire in the bleachers during the game that the fans extinguished themselves. And then after the game, there was, lo and behold, another fire. When one starts, another one happened again, and then that burned down that left field side of the bleachers. So, you know, at least the fans were out of the ballpark for the most part. But could you imagine fans dousing a fire themselves? Like, oh, a nice ground ball. And also there's a fire in our seats.
Yeah, that's the problem right now with how much how expensive the beers are at the ballpark. You don't want to throw those things on a fire right now. I mean, you're wasting a lot of money.
2 strikes on Devers. It's outside, 1 ball and 2 strikes. I mean, people won't put down a beer to catch a foul ball, but that's to the extreme.
Yeah. Well, we saw one fan the other day went up for a foul ball, threw it all over him. All over, I think, his wife.
Yeah.
At one of the ballparks. One of the greatest memes you'll see out there right now.
I think you would say his then wife is probably how that ends up.
And going back to Dallas and how he's getting, there's 2 pitches that he threw, one to Trevor Story and one to Bobby Dahlbeck, and you could see their faces afterwards thinking, whoa, where'd that cutter come from inside? Because they're thinking he's going to throw a front door sinker that's going to come back over, and that's where they were swinging to.
From a hitter's standpoint, you want to make him believe it's a strike all the way until it's not.
Yet again, Rafael Devers beats Dallas Keuchel. He's 3 for 3 in the ballgame.
Another great job by Rafi, just doing what he does well, just raking. But man, I think Dallas just knows that this guy's up. He's just going to base hit me to center field.
Yeah, he tried that outside corner again and caught a little bit of the play, but that's a good piece of hitting, huh?
He covers a lot. He covers the ball all around, and he's done a really good job of taking more pitches, but he covers in and out of the strike zone.
Well, I think he realizes with Dallas doesn't like to come inside to left-handers. And so you talk about giving up half the plate. It appears today that Devers has given up the inside part of the plate, looking away and making the most of it with his 3 singles.
Those are our odds powered by PointsBet, and they have changed pretty dramatically as the game's gone on. Now 5.5 the number, although the Red Sox are threatening a little bit here in the 6th.
The White Sox bullpen is throwing for the first time this afternoon.
You got your 2 big guys up here for the Red Sox that you want up to get back in this ball game too.
It's a little bit low. 2 balls, no strikes on Xander Bogaerts. It is Ryan Burr in the White Sox pen. Right-hander with a cutter for the White Sox, who started the year on the injured list. Bogaerts on the ground through the right side. Throw coming from angle and right is late, and the Red Sox have first and third with 1 down in the 6th.
Yeah, Bogey has been doing this a lot. He sees the hole there. A lot of teams have been shifting him more up the middle. He takes what he is given, and he does a good job with his sinker of staying with it and saying, hey, you throw me that sinker away, I'm just going to keep my head down and shoot that hole all day.
Devers did a nice job of making sure he wasn't hit by that ground ball. So you have to be heads up when you're running the bases. You got to identify where the ball is, and still, by letting the ball go through, he still had plenty of time to get to third base. So we knew this would be a difficult inning for Keuchel, and at least it's starting out that way.
Dallas Keuchel stays out there to face JD Martinez. They'll let him go left versus right for a guy that hits lefties very well historically.
Yeah, he hits lefties very well. He hits righties very well too. But I'll tell you what, one good thing about that play too with Mendick was the fact that he deked the runner at first to keep him there, to allow, with 1 out, a double play to end the inning.
Kurt Hassler is checking on, is Burr ready to go yet? That was that trip to the mound. That's on instructions from the dugout. Go out there, kill a little time, get our reliever another 10 pitches or so.
2 balls and no strikes. So after throwing a first pitch strike to the first 2 hitters in the inning and 4 straight dating back to the 5th, Dallas Keuchel's been 2-0 on Bogaerts and Martinez.
This is the sign that he's lost that magic. It can be regained with a ground ball here, however.
Little tapper back toward the mound. Dallas very good as a fielder, and he throws to first to get the out. Bogaerts to second. Devers scores, and the Red Sox are on the board. It is 3-1 White Sox in the 6th.
Keuchel has 5 Gold Gloves, and it's plays like this that allow him possibly to get another one. He kept this ball down. He got the ground ball he wanted from Martinez, but it left him with only 1 play. And that is bare hand and throw to first. You have some time. You have to know how fast the base runner is. And with Martinez, you have a couple of extra steps to play with.
He had a good job getting that run in. I mean, anyway, anyhow, right now, with how hard it's been getting runs lately.
Tying run at the plate now for Boston, and Christian Vasquez was grounded out and struck out, and a throw into second base is rescued by Josh Harrison, sprawling out to make sure that ball didn't end up in center.
Josh Harrison is going to have to get some ice after this game. His body has been flying around all over the field and getting smoked by pitches.
That throw on the third base side of second. It's a miracle that Harrison was able to make that play. Normally Dallas is pinpoint with his throws, but that one was an eyelash from taking an extra base.
Steve, are you surprised it's not Ryan Burr here to this batter or the prior one?
Well, I think the fact that Vasquez is 0 for 2 against him is probably playing into Tony's decision making. Also, the bullpen has been used quite a bit. And normally Ryan Burr is not part of what Tony La Russa figures is his winning bullpen. You have guys you use when the team is down. You have guys used when the team is ahead. But the team in this 5-game winning streak has been ahead a lot. Consequently, we've seen a lot of Graveman. We've seen more of Matt Foster, which is becoming a bigger story out of the bullpen for the White Sox. And certainly Liam Hendricks at the back end has saved all 5 of these games. So the bullpen has been used a lot. The winning bullpen has been used a lot.
2 strikes. Over third into left. Bogarts around third. Throw to the plate is not in time. And the throw to the dish lets Vasquez get to second base. Suddenly, the Red Sox have the tying run at second base, and it's 3-2.
Yeah, great job by Vasquez staying through this ball just enough to power it through. And great job taking that extra base. Bogey, man, I don't know how he didn't slide right there if there was somebody on deck telling him to get down, but this is a big run right here. Now it's going to put a lot more on Dallas to finish this out against Verdugo.
Well, the biggest problem here is you can't throw through because your odds of throwing somebody out at the plate are slim. You got to make sure that the guy who hit the baseball, in this case Vasquez, doesn't wind up at second base because he's the tying run. You get the ball into second, you keep him at first, at least you have the lead on a base hit. Now you don't.
And so Ethan Katz, the White Sox pitching coach, out of the dugout. 3 of the last 4 hitters have a hit for the White Sox. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Office of the Commissioner of Baseball and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without express written consent. What a game we've had in our opener on NBC and Peacock for MLB's Sunday leadoff. Dallas Keuchel will face the left-hander Alex Verdugo, who singled off him in the second inning.
And they're shifted on him with 3 infielders to the right side. Last time he shot it to the left side.
He unloads on the ball into left center field. Robert is back on the track, and he makes the catch. Right at the edge of the cliff, Dallas Keuchel and the White Sox. We move to the 7th in a great ball game. For his face all year and rewards never giving in. The 122nd U.S. Open from the Country Club in Brookline, Massachusetts, beginning Father's Day weekend on NBC USA and streaming on Peacock. The trophy was here for posing, for celebrating, for meandering around the warning track, and for team pictures all day yesterday during batting practice here at Fenway Park. The trophy enjoyed it. We interviewed the trophy briefly.
Oh, nice.
And the trophy was overjoyed to be here at Fenway Park.
A lot of wannabe golfers sitting around that trophy. See, that's what we are as baseball players.
Everybody?
Not everybody. There's a few of them that are really, really good, that compete. You know, you got your John Smoltz, your Mark Mulders, really good golfers.
Hansel Robles is the new pitcher for the Red Sox. We saw him yesterday in Game 2 of this series. He threw 1 inning and gave up the tying run.
Yeah, he just got it, got behind on the first batter, walked him. And every time it seems like when you walk the first batter late in the game, crazy things can happen. But he's got great stuff through the zone, a lot of late life on his fastball. He's just got to command in that zone a little bit better.
He's going to get the fastball up there, 98, 99 miles an hour. He normally has a pretty good change. He likes his slider second best, but command for him has been a pretty big issue.
He's the perfect person to have thrown a couple of innings ago because he comes out. His music is the music of The Undertaker.
Oh, I love it.
From WWE with that menacing gong that reverberates through the stadium.
The other night I heard it and no one knew, and I was like, I think that's the Undertaker song.
They had a whole video for him, this like very dark, foggy video when he was pitching with the Angels to bring him into the ball game. It is the 9th spot leading off, Danny Mendick, then Leury Garcia and Luis Robert for the White Sox in the 7th inning.
Well, there's some memorable coming into the game songs. Hell's Bells for Trevor Hoffman. Enter Sandman for Mariano Rivera. Very distinctive, and you knew pretty much they were going to save the game when you heard those songs.
What music did you walk out to, Steve?
Geez, I hope I get them out. It was a little known tune by Benji and the Walnuts.
There was an accordion in that, wasn't there?
Yeah, an ocarina, actually.
Oh, good.
That was the lead instrument, yeah.
2-2 for Danny Mendick. Did you care about your walk-up music? Were you that guy?
Yeah, I loved it. I mean, I think that was the fun part of it. But then the problem was they started cracking down on how many seconds you could have. So you had to be very, you had to pick it out the right way. But I had Biz Marquee, Just a Friend.
Ooh.
Oh Baby You. There was anything was like You that had it in there. Soldier Boy, You. So it sounded like You.
I see.
See what I did there?
I do see what you did there, yeah.
You brought it full circle. It was very good.
Just wanted to make sure everyone at home on this Mother's Day knew what that meant.
We'll FaceTime you next week for another edition of See What You Did There. This is lofted towards short, and Xander Bogaerts does pluck it out of the sky. Nice play by Bogaerts.
Yeah, really good job right there. I mean, that was off the bat. It looked like it was going to maybe go into center field. But Bogey just with a quick first step gets on it. Great job there by Bogaerts. And a behind the back flip.
Why not?
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, to finish it with a flourish.
Yes.
One down for the top of the order, Leury Garcia. Drove in a run in that 3-run third for the White Sox. Ball number 1. Steve, you mentioned for White Sox fans, it looks like both Yoan Moncada and Joe Kelly will be coming back, maybe even both of them tomorrow.
I think that's a distinct possibility, and Joe Kelly's certainly going to help that bullpen. And as far as Yoan Moncada, who came over in what was actually a good trade for both sides. Chris Sale coming to the Red Sox. Michael Kopech, who's a mainstay in the rotation now, along with Yoan Moncada and a couple of others, came over from the Red Sox. But they can really use Yoan's bat from the left side especially. Because the White Sox have it handled against left-handed starters. We profiled that at the beginning of the game. Showed you the disparity between on-base percentage, slugging average, and batting average. They do much better against the left-handers because the lineup is predominantly right-handed. But Yoan's bat will really help if he's swinging it the way we know he can.
You know, it's interesting the way these franchises intertwine, because basically the Red Sox had a decision to make with Rafael Devers and Yoan Moncada at third base.
Well, it's two really talented guys. The only difference was one might have been a little faster and was a switch hitter, and the other probably had more power overall.
Speaking of power, Garcia in the air to right field, and it hangs up in the sky for out number 2.
I'm not too sure Arroyo saw this ball off the bat. Had a little bit of panic there at the beginning. Kind of funky, but man, he just missed this pitch. Really good swing by Garcia.
I think if this was a normal time for a day game, number one, he's not going to see it at all because of the sun. Number two, it's got a bigger chance of going out on a day when the wind is not this much of a factor, blowing straight in against it.
Line drive right there to second base. And that is the end of the top of the 7th inning. A couple of hard hit balls for the White Sox, but nothing to show for it. Stretch time at Fenway and a good one. Whole team will cheer for unbeatable internet for the win. Only from Xfinity. The area around Fenway Park. I know you've
Cask and Flagon
frequented some of those haunts.
I actually got to drink out of the Stanley Cup at the Cask and Flagon.
Come on, really?
That was the coolest thing I did.
That sounds like it was a good night.
Water. A lot of water out. Very good night.
How about that? Ryan Burr is the new pitcher for the Chicago White Sox here in the 7th.
He'll be facing Jackie Bradley Jr. and Ryan Burr comes on with a 1-run lead.
They'll hit for the 8-spot man Bobby Dahlbeck. And strike one. Jackie Bradley Jr. back in Boston after a year away. He says he feels very much at home back here at Fenway.
And swinging it very well at Fenway Park. I think it's close to 400 right now. Staying through the ball well, going the opposite way. When he stays in that mode of up the middle the other way here, you see him do a lot of great things. He was hooking sliders against the Angels the other day, but when he stays through the ball in the fastballs, good things usually tend to happen.
How about that cutter, Steve, from Ryan Burr there?
That's going to really set him apart. He had some injury issues last year. He was a very good pitcher most of the time. They shift for Bradley, 3 on the right side. He's got really good speed.
1-2. Struck him out. The cutter from Ryan Burr. 1 gone.
Man, that is a really good pitch right there for Burr. Another nasty cutter that just comes down in. Has some good vertical depth to that thing too, not just the horizontal movement, but had a little bit at the end going down.
The key to these pitches, number one, make it look like a strike, but also make it look like a fastball. And if the spin on it is good enough, the hitter won't be able to tell. He goes out to measure it, the ball's not there, dips under the bat.
As you're talking about that, Steve, I wonder for you, when was it that you felt like pitchers really started to think about tunneling? Was it right at the end of your career? When did you sense that things were getting harder for pitchers in that regard?
Well, I think a lot of the good pitchers always did it well, right? The pitchers that really honed their craft were always trying to throw out the window and tunnel the pitches in the same. So your changeup feeds off it, right? You're really deceptive on your splitter, your changeup. And yeah, we saw a lot of it, but it was more prominent, towards the end where people were starting to talk about it more.
I think it was one of the things that pitchers did before they knew there was a term tunneling. Like most of the real good curveball pitchers were high fastball pitchers because they both came out of the same spot. Hall of Famer Don Sutton was that kind of a guy.
Danny Mendick at shortstop. 2 gone for the Red Sox here in the 7th.
Get ready for the Major League Baseball Junior Home Run Derby. Sign up for free at jrhrd.com.
Now that's good stuff. I know you're managing in youth baseball right now.
Yes.
How's that going for you?
It's good. Yeah, the Los Gatos Little League, AAA, Red Sox, and it's fun. I mean, it's all about just teaching these kids the game, and at times it gets a little frustrating because some people aren't teaching the game. They'd rather manipulate the game and how to win. And I've always said, hey, our job as Little League coaches is to teach the game and to grow the game and to provide them with good insight and information.
And give them one more thing, and that's joy of playing the game, because if they love to play the game, they will eventually, if they have any talent, get good at the game.
Stoney, what kind of head coach / manager do you think Uke is?
Well, I think he might be a little intense at times. That's just, I'm guessing here.
Definitely a guess right there. Compared to the other coaches, I'm a lot less. I am way more calm. I only get upset at the parents, not the kids.
Burr got a strike there after not getting the 1-0, 2-1. So you take it out on the parents.
Well, I see the so it happens in youth sports. The parents kind of ruin it for the kids in a lot of ways, and parents need to do a better job of calming themselves down. Stop yelling at the umpires or referees in gifted sports. And you really got to focus on how to have the kids not see that kind of energy, because then they start feeding on that energy when the parents get out of control too.
Well, Jason and I have one thing in common. We both were umpires in Little League.
Wow. That's not an easy gig.
Steve was good at it.
I retired very early, however.
I was not.
Did you throw anybody out?
2-2.
I wanted to throw parents out. There was a bases loaded situation and a play at the plate, and the catcher didn't realize he had his foot on the plate. He went to make the tag, and it was a beautiful hook slide around him. He never tagged the guy. I called him out on the force out. The parents charged the field. And I tried to explain, wait, it's a force out. Well, they didn't want to hear that, so that was one of the final times I out.
2-2 into center field. Robert charging, and he makes the catch. Steve Stone's umpiring video coming to shelves near you. 3-2, the White Sox after 7. Breaking news, player updates, stat leaderboards, and more for your favorite team and the rest of the league. It's the White Sox 3, the Red Sox 2, and Boston has now used 6 pitchers so far in this game, Kevin Youkilis. Jake Diekman, the most recent one, here in the 8th.
Yeah, Deke. Guy's got a funky little left-handed delivery, tough on lefties, even tough on righties at times, with fastball sliders. And, you know, hasn't been great out of the pen here as of late, but I think it's just coming here where he's going to start finding that strike zone and doing really good things.
I've always found that when he got the ball over the plate, he was very difficult to hit, because not only does he throw hard, but he's very deceptive. But it's been his lack of command that has really sabotaged him at times.
They face a right-hander first, and it's Jose Abreu for the White Sox. Here in the 8th inning, in a close ball game. Look, Boston coming in at 10-18. They're 9.5 back. And Alex Cora pointed to the schedule in his office when we sat down with him earlier today, and he pointed to about the last week of August. And he said, look, this is right around the time where you know what you're going to be. But you do have to be in striking distance at that point, as you know, both of you.
Yeah, it's such a long season. There's, what, 130-some plus games left. And you can get really emotional right now, and 28 games in, and it's not good for Red Sox Nation in a lot of ways, but you have to stay with it, because it is crazy how long the season is, and it's crazy what happens in between.
The only difficult thing for the Red Sox is that you look at that division with Tampa Bay, Toronto, and, well, to some extent, I mean, Baltimore started out okay, but Tampa Bay, Toronto, and the Yankees are going to be really difficult. Now, the only hope for Boston is everybody cannibalizes themselves.
Yeah, that's the hard part of this right now. They haven't won a division in the series. Sorry, they haven't won a series in their division right now. Got to flip that over the next time around. You got to start just winning 2 out of 3. You don't have to sweep, but win 2 out of 3.
Well, there's certain teams that are off to a good start, and you look at the Yankees, and historically Stanton and Judge both have had physical problems. If they go down for any length of time, it's going to really affect what's happening to the Yankees, but the Yankees pitching is starting to come around.
Yeah, especially their bullpen. Their bullpen is pretty nasty.
Diekman gets a strikeout of Abreu, 1 gone in the 8th.
We'll take another look at it, and this is a high fastball out of the zone, but because of that motion, you can't really read the ball out of his hand. That's why he doesn't necessarily, when he gets ahead of you, have to throw it in the zone. It just has to be close enough to elicit those swings out of the zone.
He'll face Yasmani Grandal, who's got his first multi-hit game. He's 2 for 3.
And to righties, he's got this fastball. Like that one took off like a 2-seamer, going away from the right-handed hitter. But a lot of times he's got this dart that comes into you. So look, like Jose is thinking right there, that ball's going to keep coming back over the top part of the quadrant, just fades away from his barrel.
Duke, has there been any type of timetable for Chris Sale, who would mean so much to the Red Sox, to anchor this staff?
Well, unfortunately, there's been just something that's come up, personally that's backtracked, and hopefully things get back on track here and he can progress into it. But no one knows right now when he's going to come back.
Well, and you add an arm like that, as White Sox fans certainly know. I mean, he's a major threat when he's in the rotation. But a personal medical issue for Chris Sale, and it's a check swing. 2-2 on Grandal.
Something we don't talk about too, because probably his paycheck dictated to it. He closed before too. He's been in the back end of that bullpen. That's a crazy thing to throw out there in a lot of ways, but is it that crazy?
When he first came up with the White Sox, that's where they put him, because they wanted to limit his innings. And at 168 pounds just out of college, they knew that he couldn't afford a whole lot of innings as a starter, so they put him in the bullpen. And his stuff plays as a closer.
One of the most competitive people you will ever meet, Chris Sale.
He's a great teammate too. And when a lot of times the intensity that a lot of us baseball players have on the field, or just athletes in general, doesn't always translate to what type of person you are off the field. And he is one of those guys that is the nicest guy, loose and fun in the clubhouse.
Ball four to Grandal. That is the first walk by the White Sox. So Grandal is on, one down, and Adam Engel will come up as the White Sox try to rebuild this lead. Close pitch.
Yeah, it's a great pitch, but also a great take. Borderline strike.
So Yasmani Grandal, who is an on-base machine, he's at first, one out for Adam Engel. First pitch, strike one. Good placement on the fastball.
And that's that fastball I was talking about that has that angle that comes into the right-handed hitter. And especially when you're watching video against a guy like this, that's when you're swinging at that pitch that Jose Abreu thought of, because you think it's coming back over.
That's electric stuff. I mean, we've seen it in a bunch of different uniforms in Major League Baseball, but there is giddy up on that fastball for Diekman that you can see from a long way away.
Look, early in his career, he had some physical problems, some health issues that really curtailed his advancement. But it's always been the great arm. And the question has always been there, can he throw it over the plate consistently?
I mean, that is a ridiculous fastball.
Yeah, it's that dart. When you get that dart in, it's not easy. I mean, you want the ball to almost tail back, but I mean, it's like cross action, short arm coming into you. I mean, it is a tough pitch to hit.
I'll ask you a question about trying to hit somebody like Diekman, and that is, what is it that's most important, stuff or deception?
Well, you don't like both, right? The deception is always usually the thing that gets you, and then the late movement is always something that just piles on to try to find that barrel consistently. And when you got guys that are deceptive, your timing doesn't feel good, and then when you're trying to get that barrel of the ball with that that late life.
It's popped up back of home, and this will get out of play.
Yeah, and that late life doesn't help you find that barrel, and you can get a lot of bad swings on pitches from guys like that.
I always felt that guys had to adjust, and sometimes later in their careers, when the stuff is not electric any longer, they have to add a facet of deception, because you as a hitter are trying to see that ball out of my hand. If I can stop you from seeing it out of my hand, which shortens up your vision even a foot or a foot and a half, you're not going to react to pitches as well. If you see it out of my hand from the beginning, my stuff better be real good, or I have a problem with you.
Exactly, yeah. When you get guys that are Iron Mike, which means like a batting machine, arm motion, it's a lot easier than when a guy has it moving around.
You see how late Adam Engel was on that fastball, 2 down.
Yeah, this is, man, he is hitting his spot right there too. Oh, that one just darted out too. Like that's the same one, the two seam. It's almost a two seam that goes away versus the one he's picking a point. As a hitter, you can't see the last 6 feet of it, and you're trying to pick the location to hit the ball. Right there, he picked the location. Unfortunately, the two seam.
That sounds very difficult. You can't see the last 6 feet of it, and you're trying to pick location.
And I don't know, we've heard this, like this study done where they say you can't see the last 6 feet. I don't know if it's 5, 4, 6, whatever, but yeah, everything about a hitter is you're trying to pick a point where you think the pitch is going to go. So one, you have to recognize what pitch it is, and then when you recognize the spin, you're picking the point of contact that you think will give you the best chance to hit this ball hard.
1 strike on Jake Berger. Grandal at first. To the back shoe it goes. 1 ball and 1 strike to Berger. See the pink bat there. Happy Mother's Day to everybody out there.
Yes.
Wonderful day for our debut game. 11:30 first pitch as Berger hits this to the blue sky of Fenway Park. And it's out of play as Arroyo tested the railing.
Yeah, I'd love to wish my mom, Carolyn Euclid, a happy Mother's Day. My beautiful wife, Julie Brady, happy Mother's Day. My mother-in-law, Galen Brady, happy Mother's Day. And then all my sister-in-laws. I got tons of sister-in-laws. Happy Mother's Day to them all.
Well, I don't believe that my stepmother at 95 is looking into this one, but I called her earlier to wish her a very happy day.
This is going to be the easiest stolen base of Yasmani Grandal's career. He was like halfway between running and trotting, and he got there without a throw.
Well, I think he threw a surprise party for Vasquez. He gets a great jump. Diekman doesn't look at him because he really doesn't have much speed, and he steals it uncontested.
I will not let that stolen base get in the way of me wishing happy Mother's Day to my mom, Sue Benetti, in Illinois as well. So happy Mother's Day to everybody out there. First stolen base since 2019 for Grandal.
I'm surprised it's been that recent.
Did you ever steal a base when you were on?
I did not, but I was used as a pinch runner about 15 times.
Is that right?
Yeah,
Wow.
it was. They didn't want to hurt anybody good.
Key question is this: jacket or no jacket?
Not without a pinch runner. No jacket as a pinch runner.
There you go.
Wrap around strike 3 slider. That stuff was absolutely disgusting from Diekman. Yikes.
That's nasty right there. Taking it into Sweet Carolina.
Look at this stuff. High heat. To the slider.
Man, he's backdooring that slider too. Good night.
A Fenway tradition. Sweet Carolina here into the bottom of the 8th inning. You missed Kevin Youkilis singing along under his breath during the break. But it tells you you're at Fenway Park, and we have a close one here. 3-2 your score, bottom of the 8th inning. And Matt Foster on for the White Sox to face 2, 3, and 4 for Boston, starting with Trevor Story's team.
Matt Foster is throwing in a lot more high leverage situations. He's responded twice with beautiful outings. A masterpiece at Wrigley Field, entering the game, nobody out, 1-run game, runners at first and third. He got out without anybody scoring. This is going to be a tough one for him.
It's Story first, and it's 2-0 on Trevor Story. What's it about Matt Foster this year that's different, Steve?
Well, the straight change is good. What's happened this year is he's refined that slider and throwing it over the plate a lot more. So with that slider and the straight change, he's got a fastball that probably goes upwards of 94 miles an hour.
Behind on Story, who's 0 for 3, and that is fouled back. 2-1.
Good cut right there on 2-0, being aggressive. How about his curveball? It looks like he didn't have a curveball last year. Is that right? Or is it kind of lumped into the slider?
I think it's a distinct pitch, but he couldn't throw both at the same time. And I think he felt more comfortable with the slider. He throws the curveball on occasion, but that straight change sets him apart, and his ability to get anything but a fastball and straight change over the plate.
2-1, and there is the slider. 2-2.
Yeah, time and time again, you're seeing guys being charted as a slider or a curveball, and it's really interesting to decipher which one's which.
Yeah, usually in the 80s, you're going to call it a slider. That one didn't have as much depth as he was trying to throw a strike with it. His wipeout slider has more depth than that last pitch.
I think he throws it here on 2-2 for Story.
To me, it's either a slider or a straight change.
Two and two. One-run game in the 8th. Tried to check it. He could not. It was that harder biting slider, Steve, for out number 1.
Trevor Story has had a really tough series, and with it, probably for the first time in his career, he has heard some booing from the Fenway faithful, and that is a very tough thing to deal with when you haven't experienced it.
Yeah, not a lot of fun. I personally didn't know because it sounded like you half the time. So, but it's one of those things where you got to get through it, and I mean, when it's rock bottom, it's rock bottom, and you just got to mentally get and say, hey, things are going to change my way, and easier said than done.
That's not only for him right now, but it's for the team. I mean,
Correct.
They lost 4 in a row. They're 4-13 their last 17, and this feels like one of those, if you're going to come back, one of those moments with 5 outs to go right here in the 8th.
Yeah, it's a mental, you know, baseball's a mental grind in itself, and when things are not going good and you're in a market like Boston, it is extremely hard at times mentally more than physically.
Devers is 3 for 3, and he's behind 0-2 as he snapped at a fastball.
94 on the inside corner looks perceived velocity maybe like 97, especially when you have to be aware of the straight change on the slider. And that is one of the pitches that set Foster apart this year.
Raffy was frustrated with taking the first pitch and swinging through that. Just a little too much effort. I'd like to see him get back and utilize those hands better.
3rd fastball in a row.
I can relate to what Trevor Story's going through because I went to Baltimore as their first free agent acquisition ever on a 4-year deal. A lot of players thought they needed an outfielder. They picked up a pitcher, and I didn't get off to a good start. And when you hear those boos, cacophonous boos for the first time in your career, it's startling, number one. But you have to, as Alex Cora says, shut out the noise.
Exactly.
2 strikes. Devers takes high.
Yeah, and Raffy does get gets a lot of fastballs at times because the numbers do say that he'll crush some breaking balls. So these are the times like he took that first pitch and then swung a little too much. You know, his effort level when he is loose and just swinging freely and nice and easy, it is remarkable. What happens when he muscles up, and that's where that bat drags and got beat on that one swinging strike.
This is a 1-2 from Foster. There's the first changeup of the sequence. 2-2. Okay, so what's the hitter thinking here? He just saw a first changeup, and what's the pitcher thinking to counter that? You?
I'm going heater right here. I'm going off the heater and making sure I'm staying back a little bit because he's beat me with it.
I've made aware that inside fastball to him. I'm throwing a changeup or a slider out away from him.
Let's see. 2-2 from Matt Foster to Rafael Devers. It's fouled away on a fastball.
He didn't hit his spot, though. He got very fortunate because he wanted to throw it on the outside corner. He got it up and out over the plate.
And he's just getting beat just a little bit. You know, when the ball gets fouled back directly straight back on line, that's you're kind of on. But people don't realize a foul ball going back or to the other side of you're late. You're just a little tardy.
6 pitches, 5 have been fastballs from Foster against a 25-year-old Devers. 2-2 again, and it's way inside on the first slider, spinning him out of the way.
How did that not hit him?
I have no idea.
Did that go through his legs? From up above, it looks like it whipped through his legs, but just barely missing him right there.
3-2, and the Red Sox fans are feeling a comeback, maybe hoping for a comeback, maybe trying to will a comeback. Three and 2 to Devers, their young superstar. Struck him out. Foster with a fastball at 96 takes down Devers.
Last year he couldn't have done this. This year he's got supreme confidence in his fastball, and because he's a short armor, it jumps up on you. And you talk about the fact that for a short armor, when you don't see extension, how difficult is it?
Yeah, it's tough. And right there, Raffy's frustrated at that because he fouled it off just a little bit. And there's nothing worse when you just foul off a pitch and the catcher squeezes that glove.
You hope for that moment you're staying alive instead.
Yeah, you're just hoping that bounce out that glove. You're like, oh, okay, get to another one. Hopefully he gets it down and in my hot zone.
Oh, to me, that's a sound of victory.
Yes, it is. But right there, he's just a little bit tardy on that thing. He's got to respect the changeup, got to respect the off speed. But Raffy himself, he's, you know, clicking that out in front more. Now we're talking about a tie ball game.
He also wasn't looking 96 because the charts say he's 94 tops. He just reached back, got a little extra, and threw it by him in a big spot.
What a confrontation there. Foster and Devers, and now Xander Bogaerts waves at a fastball. 0-2. So the book on Matt Foster, as you said, Steve, had been that changeup, and the Red Sox have not seen many of them at all.
Well, at times last year he wasn't 100% healthy, and his stuff wasn't near what the stuff is that we've seen this year from him.
That glare from Foster to Xander Bogaerts, 29-year-old, a Reuben for the Red Sox. That's foul just below our booth. What a tense ball game this has been. The White Sox took the lead with 3 in the 3rd. Boston got 2 in the 6th and knocked out Dallas Keuchel after 6 very strong innings.
With neither team really hitting at this point of the year, you're going to play the majority of your games just like this, tough and tight, and one mistake one way or the other will determine the outcome.
2 strikes on Bogaerts. He struck him out with a slider. 3 fastballs, and he snapped off a breaking ball. Matt Foster struck out in the side for the White Sox in the 8th.
The 3rd of 3 very impressive performances. You're seeing the maturation of a late inning closer type.
Here in May, it's 3-2 in the top of the 9th inning, and the new pitcher for Boston is Matt Strahm, the left-hander out of the bullpen, who is the 7th pitcher so far for Boston today.
Yeah, but that wind out there, Strahm's hair's got some good flow.
Yeah, it does. That is a shampoo commercial waiting to happen. He will face McGuire first in the 9th. Reese McGuire 1 for 3 with a run scored in that 3-run 3rd. That is a good close look at the locks.
As Bill Burr says, he looks like a guy that's performing with Metallica.
He does a little bit, yeah. That's a strike. 1-1 for McGuire. You wonder if the White Sox keep this in a safe situation, who's going to throw the 9th for this team?
Jose Ruiz. He is loosening in the pen, and it looks like that's who they're going to turn to.
So Jose Ruiz, the former catcher, getting loose with all 0 of his career saves ever.
I mean, this is an emotional situation for him only because he's not used to doing this. His stuff has played very well in the middle innings of ball games.
Called strike 3 on McGuire. 1 down in the 9th.
And Strom knew this right away, too. Just right after he threw the pitch, he knew it was going to be a strikeout looking. Good location at the bottom of the zone.
Give him a little leg kick.
Knew it.
One down for Josh Harrison, who's playing second base. Danny Mendick, the shortstop. We have not seen Tim Anderson today, one of the great young talents in Major League Baseball, getting a scheduled day off today.
That's one thing you're seeing around baseball a lot more, the scheduled day offs, and it's a big deal in a lot of ways because it is a oh wow.
Harrison's like, okay, whatever I did, please stop.
Yeah, he's got a magnet in his back pocket. He's got to take it out.
I think it's one thing to think about taking one for the club. Then you see 96 and you say, maybe I'll get out of the way of this one.
Yeah, that comment, "we've got ice," doesn't really apply right there.
Now you go away from him 1-1. He's been hit twice. You're basically talking about load management.
Correct. Yeah, and I think the biggest thing is Cal Ripken is safe. For that record will never ever be broken. Just because they've also done all the studies and understanding of, hey, these guys need an off day, and it's better for them in the long run to keep them healthy throughout.
Well, Cal's career took him to the Hall of Fame, and there was a little known change because he came up as a third baseman. The only guy in the entire organization who thought he could play shortstop was Earl Weaver, who happened to be managing the team. Turned into a Hall of Fame shortstop. But you're wondering how good his career would have been if he didn't play every day, if he got those bumps and bruises that everybody gets and got a day or two off on occasion. Would he have been more productive? He was a great player as it was, and you're right, the Iron Man streak is never going to be approached.
In the air, first base side, Arroyo in foul territory. Out number 2. Hey, next Sunday, Manny Machado and the San Diego Padres go to Atlanta to take on the defending World Series champion Atlanta Braves. Ronald Acuna Jr. is back, as you saw in the pregame festivities with Nick Swisher and Ahmed Fareed. MLB Sunday leadoff begins at 11 a.m. Eastern on Peacock. And my two analysts that week, next week, will be the great Andrew Jones and Mark Sweeney on the Padres side. Andrew, of course, with the Atlanta Braves side, and we will have a great game for you down in Atlanta. And what's a great NL West race right now. I mean, it's been a 4-team race, especially with the hot start of those Colorado Rockies.
Andrew was a teammate of mine in Japan.
Is that right?
Yeah, played together, short stint. Due to injury, had to retire after that, but great guy. Be a lot of fun next week.
What can viewers expect from Andrew Jones next week?
Definitely a lot of laughter.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Andrew will have a good time in there.
We always will accept laughter. Two strikes on Danny Mendick. I believe that it sounded like it might have clipped him. It just missed him, I guess. 1-2.
Yeah, these amazing microphones that they've added into stadiums. Everything sounds like it hits somebody, but it's like the way it hits the glove and funky.
Didn't miss him by much. That one buzzed inside.
Wave and a miss for strike 3. It's a 1-2-3 inning for Strom. The Red Sox will have J.D. Martinez, Christian Vasquez, and Alex Verdugo against Ruiz when we come back.
Yeah, the Mother's Day miracle, Julio Lugo against Chris Ray. And this ball hitting the hole, and I'll never forget that throw. And Veritek scored, and then Hinsky comes around. Man, there you go. Go nuts. Go wild.
5-0 going into the ninth.
It was, yeah, I totally don't remember the 5-0, but I knew we were down a lot. It was the most crazy inning of baseball I've ever seen.
Terry Francona basically said he didn't even think you guys were going to come back.
Yeah, we thought we were done. And even that ground ball in that play, it's unreal.
It's a one-run game. Jose Ruiz on for his first career save, possibly, Stoney.
ERA of 2.79. This is 12th appearance. Opponents haven't been doing much, but there's a big difference in getting outs 25, 26, and 27. They're unlike any other outs. It's the rare pitcher who can get them, but the changeup now for Ruiz has been the big pitch for him to go with that big fastball he normally has. He's got a curveball to go with it.
You see the fans in the stands hoping for another Mother's Day comeback. JD Martinez high in the air, left field to the warning track and the wall, and that ball is off the wall for a near tie ball game. It's a double instead for Martinez to lead off the ninth.
And any other day, that ball is way back. This wind is howling in, and man, the Red Sox could have used a home run there to tie it up. But now we got a pinch runner. We'll see what happens.
He gets a fastball that's down and out over the plate. And Martinez just misses tying up the ball game. Franchy Cordero comes on the pinch run.
JD Martinez just hammered that baseball.
Yeah, he got the head out there and got the barrel to it. He knew that heater was coming, and he capitalized on it.
So Cordero pinch runs. Vasquez the batter. And here comes the crowd at Fenway Park.
A lot less runs to produce another Mother's Day here.
All it takes is one swing right now, Youth.
This was my guy. I said at the beginning of the game I thought would be the guy. We'll see if it happens.
Vasquez drove in a run in the sixth. He goes after the first pitch and pops it up. Right hand side, Harrison on the move, and he does make the catch. One gone.
A little impatience here, I would think, because you need a ground ball to the right side. Instead, you pop it up, and the worst part of this at bat is no advancement from Cordero at second base.
And sometimes what happens as a hitter right there, you're trying to get the runner over, and you take a passive swing. You cannot take passive swings. You got to be ready to attack the ball to the right side of the infield, or else you'll get underneath it where the barrel lags.
First pitch, a strike to Verdugo. It was 1 for 3 with a base hit in the second inning.
There is a semi-shift on him, but Mendig at shortstop has to hold Cordero close. So normally with Verdugo, who tries to pull most everything, shortstop is going to be on the first base side of second. You can't do it this way.
And Franchy's got to be very careful on a line drive right at him, with Mendig playing right behind him.
Fouled away by Verdugo. Fastball at 97 from Ruiz. What a game here today for our opener. MLB Sunday leadoff. 3-0. It was the White Sox after 2.5. Then 2 runs in the Boston 6th. Now the Red Sox are on the comeback trail. And left-handed action in the White Sox bullpen. And that is all for Verdugo, who goes down at the hand of Ruiz.
Ruiz goes to the high heat, up and out of the zone. He shows it to Verdugo. He's ahead in the count. Over anxious. Expands his strike zone. And he takes him down.
2 gone. Tying run at second base, Cordero. And Jackie Bradley Jr. against the Chicago White Sox. The crowd does not like the meeting, but how about this for a connection to the team you're trying to beat? Jackie Bradley Jr., his great-great-grandmother was a sibling of Michael Jordan's grandfather. Wow.
White Sox bullpen has Bennett Sousa up. And that was the meeting at the mound to give some more time for Sousa to get ready. And it could very well be that Tony La Russa is going out there to bring Sousa in the game.
Ruiz had faced 3 batters, so this is a legal move. And Bennett Sousa, the rookie left-hander, looking for a final out of the ball game at Fenway Park with Hendricks getting a day off. When the Houston Gamblers take on the New Orleans Breakers, next on NBC and Peacock. Bennett Sousa looking for the final out. He had 17 minor league saves, and he's looking for his first in the majors, Steve Stone.
Well, he won't be facing Bradley. He'll be facing Plawecki. And Sousa comes into this for the 12th time. This is the first time he's been called on to save a ball game. Opponents hitting .250 against him. And he's facing the backup catcher as Alex Cora making the move that he believes is going to keep this game alive. He would love to see Arroyo come to bat. Sousa has to throw to 3 hitters unless he ends the ball game before that. So he's going to be facing some right-hand hitters regardless.
That's an interesting dynamic too in the game with the new rules and stuff like that too. But you know, Plawecki's a guy that they talk about against higher velo. He's going to be facing a good contact guy. So going with the contact guy here in the 9th to try to put something into play and score that run.
What do you think of the decision there, you, to go with Plawecki instead of Bradley?
Yeah, the left-on-left matchup is tough from this angle, so I like it.
First pitch from Bennett Sousa, ball 1. Considering Kevin Plawecki's walk-up music, you could say that Bennett Sousa, who has no career saves, is the one that's really dancing on his own here at Fenway Park. 1-0. In for a strike, 1-1.
Well, that's the beauty of baseball. You're always dancing on your own. It's a team sport, but it's a team sport of a bunch of individuals making sure they're doing their part.
Team sport with, I believe, the greatest individual confrontation in sports, pitcher-hitter.
One ball, one strike. 2-1 from Sousa to Plawecki.
Reese McGuire's done a really good job behind that dish, keeping balls in front of him. Really big here too, to keep that guy off the third with another pass ball that can go by or a wild pitch.
Pretty good block and good technique as Reese comes over to his left, makes sure the 5-hole is covered, gives you good mobility to either side.
See if we get the 2-1 off speed like it's been a lot.
High in the air, left center field. Robert is over, and Luis Robert finishes off a Chicago White Sox sweep at Fenway Park. The first career save for Bennett Sousa, and another close ball game between these two teams. It is 3-2 Chicago.
This is the first time in quite some time after the 8-game losing streak the White Sox have been over 500. This series, there wasn't a lot to choose from between these two teams. I mean, neither team is hitting very well. Each game was tough and tense, and it came down to the bullpen as far as the White Sox were concerned.
Yeah, that was a definite devastating series for the Red Sox. Good job for the White Sox to bounce back from all the struggles they've had. But it's a long road now for the Boston, and luckily there's an off day tomorrow.
And the Red Sox need it. They've lost 5 in a row. The White Sox, a season high 6 in a row in the win column. Steve, what do you make of this White Sox team as it stands right now? They've had the high highs and the low lows.
I think what's happened with them is they've started to believe in themselves, and the best thing about going through that losing streak early was that you don't get buried if it's early in the season. You have that same losing streak. You're at the end of August. Now you've got a problem because teams know exactly what they have. maybe they've made some additions. But the best thing for the White Sox and what's happening is that they're getting some of the walking wounded back. That's been the big problem early. A lot of injuries to key players. And when they go back to Chicago, they're going to see Kelly and they're going to see Moncada rejoin the team. That's going to make a team that is strong right now a lot stronger.
Ahmed's downstairs with White Sox catcher Reese McGuire.
So Reese, no Liam Hendricks. You had two pitchers there in the ninth that have never had a save with Ruiz and the last pitcher there, Souza. What did you do to get them through that ninth inning?
Well, I think as a whole, as a team, we've been trending in the right direction, and every guy stepped up. We've used everyone in different situations, and you know, that's just credit to everyone being ready to go there. And so right there, next guy up, Sousa coming in, and you know, thinking we're going to go to Jackie, but then they go to Ploecki, so now we just make the adjustment.
Beginning of the game, Dallas Keuchel, that's the best we've seen from Dallas Keuchel. He had 10 walks his last 2 games combined, just 1 today. What did you see from him?
He was locked in from the minute we left the bullpen. You know, he was working that 2 seam. We made a little in-game adjustment. We saw what was working for us, and we went with it. We ran with it. We know we got defense behind us, so whenever he puts the ball on the ground, we got a chance to roll 2. He got a couple pop flies today. The wind was howling out there, so credit to our outfield sticking with a bunch of those tough fly balls today.
Big picture, you guys are above 500 for the first time since April 20th. You've had a lot of injuries. How good does this feel?
It feels amazing. I mean, we were just high-fiving right there, and like energy was up. We're pumped to get back into Chicago and just keep it rolling.
Reese, thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you, Ahmed, and happy Mother's Day.
Well done. Jason?
Reese got it all in there. Good for him.
That's a good son right there.
Gentlemen, it was an absolute pleasure sharing this with you. Thank you both.
A lot of fun. Thank you, guys.
I enjoyed every minute of it. This is one of baseball's cathedrals, and it was great to see the entire series. But today was special, my friends. Remember it always.
NBC is back in the Major League Baseball business. Join us again next Sunday, San Diego and Atlanta, 11 a.m. on Peacock. Next on NBC in the USFL, Houston and New Orleans. For more post-game coverage, stay tuned on Peacock. Thanks for watching MLB's Sunday Leadoff, coverage presented by Uber Eats. For Kevin Youkilis, Steve Stone, I'm Jason Benetti. Farewell from Fenway.